Linus Media downsizes drastically. Good morning, I'm Eagle Falcon. It is April 1st, and these are your headlines. Canadian tech media company Linus Media Group has downsized drastically, selling off all of their real estate, estimating roughly 4 different commercial warehouses, and moving into the original home they started at over 10 years ago. It is uncertain at this point what this means for the young YouTube company that has been around for well over a decade. Pal World will be releasing a monster dating sim that will include not safe for work scenes, quote unquote. What that is to mean, we still do not at this time. The dating sim will be released later today. It is something that you should be aware of if whether your kids are going to be getting a hold of this game or not. Joe Biden has gotten a huge boost in the polls after finally becoming a Super Saiyan. The golden glow of his now 10 pounds of hair said to have finally given a demanding lead over his competition. Check it on the sports. The Brewers have clinched the NCAA brackets at the US Open today. They will be at the Super Bowl or something. I don't know. The sports guy is actually out sick today. He didn't give me any words. For the weather, the National Storm Prediction Center has issued a tornado outlook of 10% for southern Illinois and southeastern Missouri. Keep an eye on your local weather out there and be prepared to take shelter if tornado warnings are issued. This is 1337 AM WTAF Radio. I'm Eagle Falcon. Your next show is up next. A fresh dose of tech news and insight. This is the Early Burb Briefing. It is Monday, April 1st, 2024. This is the Early Burb Briefing. I'm Eagle Falcon. Twitch has kind of surprised everyone within the Twitch space by finally doing something they should have done long ago. And that is making it official that you cannot have your camera focused on intimate body parts. Yeah, this is a conversation we need to have all of a sudden. I don't know, but it is one that we need to have. Just come on, man. Really? We don't allow actual pornography. But, you know, this all started first off with what we refer to as the topless meta. When people decided that they're going to go ahead and stream being implied naked and trying to show off pretty much their cleavage, just up to the point of nipples, trying to get away with as much exposure as possible, trying to make as close to hard or softcore porn as possible without actually crossing the line, trying to flirt with the things as much as possible. You could look at the rules and decide, you know, maybe we shouldn't try to push our luck. Or you can look at them and say, yeah, we can go ahead and push them to the absolute limit. Well, too many people did. And in fact, for a while, the topless streams eventually were banned. They tried to embrace it and allow artistic nudity. Then, well, instead of having artistic nudity, we just had people drawing porn or just streaming completely in the nude, showing everything, calling it artistic. People who are VTubers show their naked models that they had for some reason. I'm not going to judge. And that was all taken away. And we've gone back to what Twitch originally was known for, which was live streaming video gameplay or vlogging or other things. Okay. Recently, the Twitch meta has been wearing green undergarments or blue and then chroma keying that out and having the gameplay show up on, say, your butt or your thighs or your cleavage. Like, that was a very common thing for a while in certain categories. That is no longer allowed because Twitch has said, stop, please. We don't want to be the next thing. We don't want to be known for being as close to Pornhub as Pornhub you can get. We just don't need that in our lives. And quite frankly, it's hard to disagree. All right. The whole point is to stream video games, not to go ahead and stream your links to your OnlyFans. I mean, for crying out, this is the thing that actually irks me the most, all right? When it comes to streaming on Twitch, we're allowed to now co-stream with YouTube, but we're not allowed to even acknowledge that YouTube exists. But these gals are allowed to go ahead and constantly spam their OnlyFans. It's this consistency that I like to see, all right? Because if I can't even tell people, hey, you know, I'm also on YouTube, then these people showing off their bodies should not be able to go ahead and say, hey, check me out on Pornhub or check me out on OnlyFans or whatever. You know, some consistency is nice. That's going to do it for me. Now get out there and conquer the day.
This program is brought to you by the Snore Silencing Pillow. Tired of your partner's nocturnal symphony? Introducing the Snore Silencing Pillow. It gently muffles the snoring sounds and emits soothing whale songs instead. You can drift to sleep with the calming ambience of the ocean. Now available at Amazon.com.
Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, April 1st. This is Coffee Thoughts. I'm Eagle Falcon. I'm sitting in for Jerry Flannel, who unfortunately decided to take today off to celebrate Easter with his family. Now, I say unfortunately, but he gets to stay home and enjoy his family. I unfortunately have to come in on quite possibly one of the hardest days to do show prep for, because of course today is April 1st. And if there's one thing April 1st is known for, it is in fact the colossal amount of jokesters out there. Now, I personally enjoy a good April Fool's Day joke myself, but early in the morning when you're trying to go ahead and find things, it's a little difficult to go ahead and do it. You really need to make sure you get a nice strong brew of coffee, make sure your mind is fully awake, lest you go ahead and fall once again for jokes like this one right here from Razor, Project Breadwinner. This one we still want, by the way. Razor, who you may or may not know, I'm actually not sure how technologically savvy our Coffee Thoughts listeners are, but Razor is a company that makes gaming products. They make keyboards, they make mice, they make headsets, they make all kinds of gear. Unfortunately, we don't use any here in the studio, but they make all kinds for gamers and streamers. And they went ahead and tried to push out making a toaster, which honestly is just hilarious. I mean, you go from making keyboards and laptops to toasters? Who wouldn't want that? And the funny thing is that the thing even had a heat plate in it, so it intentionally toasted everything but their logo. Their logo would stay on as an untoasted section of the bread, which just added to the kind of brand recognition that Razer had. And here's the thing, this April Fool's joke, the reason I picked this one is because even to this day, there are gamers out there that want this toaster to be real. To this day, they want this toaster to be real. And honestly, being the bit of a clown that I am from time to time, I still gotta ask, hey Razer, I know it's been 6-7 years since this has been launched. I want to know, where's our toaster? You said you're gonna get us a toaster. Where's our toaster? We want our toaster. We're never gonna see that toaster, are we? Alas, it is what it is. It's just a good thing to be mindful of out there. When you're out there going ahead and enjoying all the various stories out there, just keep in mind, you know, maybe, just maybe, that story might be a joke. At the same time, though, it is good to keep that kind of mindset at all times, not just on the first. All right? Because that kind of skeptical mindset can go ahead and help you avoid scams. There are tons upon tons of people who fall for scams every single day. But as long as you go ahead and keep an aware mind and keep asking questions, you can be able to spot them. In fact, while we're at it, let's go ahead and enlarge our own minds for a minute as we're waiting for that caffeine to kick in. Let's actually go ahead and talk about the latest scams that are out there. The year's only started, and already there are tons of new ones out there. I can already tell you, as someone who runs their own Twitch stream, that there are tons of scams of just people trying to just impersonate graphic artists. Oh man, the number that are out there that try to pose as graphic artists just to go ahead and try and make a quick buck off you by offering the weakest, underline the weakest, quick done asset swap drawings out there is comical. And here's the one thing, before I even get into the article here by Experian, I gotta just put this out there. You know the easiest way to go ahead and avoid scams? Ask questions. Dead serious, okay? This is the best advice I can give anyone. If you get a suspicious call that claims to be the IRS, that claims to be your bank or anything, just keep asking questions. It almost doesn't matter what the questions are. Just keep your mind working and keep putting whoever is bringing up these things on the defensive, because if it is legitimate, they'll be able to answer your questions. If they are not, they will try to change the subject. The number of times while I'm at work and they try to go ahead and sell us on some sort of new healthcare plan, and just asking the bare basics of, who do you work for? It throws these scammers off every time. Now, just because they're able to answer that doesn't mean you should just outright believe them, okay? You should go ahead and pressure that. Do a little bit of research. If they say they're from such and such, do a quick search. See if such and such even exists. Or even just question them, why is your phone number strange? Why'd your phone number come up as scam likely? Just keep asking questions. If they hang up in the middle of it, guess what? They weren't legitimate. Best advice I can give. Well, let's actually go over what this Experian article has to say. The first thing they're going to point out is the AI powered scams. Now, I actually also run another show on this radio station here, Eagle Eyes on Tech, that'll actually be on in a few hours. But let me tell you, we've been covering AI for a while, and it is terrifying what people can do with AI. And right now, AI is at a point where this is the worst it can be. It's just going to get better from here. And I don't mean in a good way, where they're just taking voice samples of you and then using AI to try and generate a natural sounding voice to go ahead and use for what's called a phishing attack. Creating these deep fakes and whatnot to try and go ahead and convince you that, in fact, what they're about to say is real. And then go ahead and say, target a relative or whomever using your voice or one of your relatives' voices and saying they need help, they need some money, and then get money from you that way. This now means you no longer can just use the old adage that, you know, if it's a strange number that suddenly sounds very Indian or very Hindi, that it's probably a scammer. You can't do that anymore. You can no longer judge based on the accent, which is, in this world that needs less racism in the world, probably a good thing in a very small sense. But again, I cannot stress this enough. Ask questions, because right now it takes time for AI to go ahead and generate deep fakes. Okay. It takes time to go ahead and have all this compute power that we have right now to generate these voice samples and that sort of thing. Okay. So the more you throw them off the script, the better it will be. Especially if they're going to try and impersonate a relative. Because guess what? You know that good buddy Timmy went ahead and is out sick for a week a few weeks ago that with COVID or something along those lines. They don't know that. Or you could go ahead and pull some anime tricks. And they're being like, "Oh, I'm your buddy Timmy, and I'm stuck in Australia. There's spiders everywhere. I need money for a plane ticket. Get me 5 $200 iTunes gift cards, and I'll let me get out of here." And then be like, "But I thought you were sick with COVID." And then they respond with, "Oh no, I got over that and then decided to take this trip. I lied. He never had COVID." You know, something along those lines. You can always go ahead and try to play those kind of mind games with the scammer. The more you can go ahead and try to throw off their script, the better. Trust me on this. Next up that Experian is talking about is the student loan forgiveness scams. And this one is less going to be on the phone. This one is going to more likely than not be one that is done through email. There are going to be ones that want a whole bunch of information, fill out the website, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, at this time, in the United States, to my knowledge, I might be wrong, because, again, I cover tech, not day-to-day political news. I am fairly certain the student loan forgiveness program that was proposed is currently on hold. But again, my point of going ahead and seeing, you know, ask questions. You can go ahead and find out if it is or isn't. Another thing that actually Experian here is recommending, you can always just go directly to the Department of Education's website to fill this out. Let's actually take a look at this. Let's educate ourselves here this morning. In fact, actually, we can go ahead and just see at studentaid.gov. I actually was right. There is currently nothing going on right now. The Supreme Court issued a decision blocking us from moving forward with our one-time student debt relief plan. That's what I thought. I thought actually the way they tried to push it forward was just not on the up and up. See, I sometimes do remember way too early in the morning. And of course, number 3 that Experian mentions, as I kind of alluded to, is the phone scams. Oh my Lord. The number of phone scams I have received is immense and immeasurable. I'll tell you what right now, just on the number of phone scams I've gotten, one of the easiest ways to spot a real one for a fake one, first bit of just noticing if they're legit or not. Make sure they use proper English. I can't tell you the number of times I've gotten a chuckle out of a robocall that says, "Hello, we are calling because your package has been seized." Seize. My package has been seized. Even know what the best part is? Here's the best part. Because they target the elderly, have them repeat it. Have them repeat whatever they just said if something sounded a little off. And again, ask questions. I cannot stress this enough. If you learn nothing from me today, it is ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions when it comes to avoiding scams. Because, man, let me tell you, the number of times you can spot one of these things by just asking them questions and sussing them out is immeasurable. Now, they're going to go ahead and they're mentioning here robocalls. We kind of went over that. The number of different weird impersonators I've gotten, IRS personnel, police. I have never gotten one for relatives, but most of the time it's because whenever I talk to these guys, I keep using an alias. So lately I've gotten a bunch trying to ask for my dad at my own address, which is very bizarre. They'll try and get you to install malicious apps such as I actually should say not malicious apps used for malicious intent. Like there is an app called AnyDesk. There's an app called TeamViewer. The tools themselves are not malicious. I actually use them to access computers at work. Scammer can use them to get access to your computer though, and then start stealing information. Then, of course, you have QR codes that may bring you to suspicious spots, SIM card swappings, one-time password bots. There's tons of these sort of things. If something seems weird, ask questions first. And in the case of things like QR codes and everything, or a suspicious link, don't click it. Just don't click it. Fight that curious urge. Just don't click it at all. Best advice I can give. Just don't click it. Just don't click it. Just don't. Don't click that link. Experian then wanted to go ahead and highlight the tech scams in this. There's actually a lot of speculation right now that tech scams right now are super cheap, making everything just that much easier to go ahead and do this. Fortunately now, a lot of phone providers are automatically blocking a lot of text messages. Like I have gotten quite a few on my phone that just get blocked right away. They just go to a spam and then I never see them. Good. But of course, they're always going to evolve. Always, 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 always. And then, of course, I actually hate this list because it's not going over the different types of scams. They're just going over the different types of methods because a lot of these are actually used in other scams. Okay. They're talking about Zelle scams here, saying that scammers are now using Zelle to go ahead and have money wired to them. Same thing with cryptocurrencies. Trying to get you to buy cryptocurrencies at crypto ATMs. Funny enough, there actually were quite a few truck stops and whatnot in my area that had Bitcoin ATMs. They are gone because of these kind of scams. I mean, they're truck. They don't know any better. They're just like, oh, hey, crypto's popular. Let's finally get these sort of things. They say after the crypto boom died down and then realize they're being used for scams. They're just like, we're out. Deuces. Peace. We want out. And they got out. Another thing, though. Zelle and crypto scams are pretty common. Zelle, I think, is actually more common now than the previous method. Before, they'd have you go ahead and buy gift cards. Let me tell you something. You get a message from someone trying to say that they're your boss and that you need to go ahead and get a whole bunch of gift cards. It's not your boss. Trust me. There's almost no reason your boss would want you to go run out and get them some gift cards. That's not how that works at all. So beware of Zelle, beware of crypto, pretty basic stuff. Then we have romance scams. These are way more common on Facebook, from what I understand, where people try to pose as a lover and then get you to like buy them gifts and everything. Experiencing $1.3 billion people have lost to romance scams 2 years ago in 2022. With roughly $4,400 per person. That's nuts. That's insane. Like, dang. Again, just always be wary. Always, always, always be wary. Always ask questions. They then go on to say online purchasing scams. Tons of just fake e-commerce scores that buy ads on social media. Man, this used to be such a huge problem on Twitter. It's not as much anymore, but holy smokes. This was huge, underline huge on Twitter. It was just crazy how many of these there were. All right. Then, of course, we have various employment scams. Try to target people who've been out of work. I own my own business, so it's hard for me to get caught in this sort of thing. You know what ends up happening? The jobs you're given are actually being a criminal, being a money mule, to go ahead and try to ship out all this stuff to various locations. What's even better is that they then promise income, and guess what? You may not even see any of it. Ever. Whee! Isn't that great? And then one final one, and this was one that was actually brought to my attention by a YouTuber. Oh God, I'm now blanking on his name. Like Evergreen or something like that. Oh my God, I feel terrible. I'll check. I'll take a look at it during the first break, and I'll get back to it on that. But ones in which what the scammer will do is then promise to get you income based on just having like a banner on your car or something along those lines. They'll then give you a check to go ahead and deposit into your bank, and then get enough to then go ahead and then buy your materials and such. You are often buying some materials from them, and then the check turns out was counterfeit. Whoops. These sort of scams get more and more clever. I'll tell you that. All right. And I know we got a little rambly here. I'm still waiting for the caffeine to kick in myself. But folks, I'm telling you, a lot of this can be avoided by doing one thing. Ask questions. Ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. Now, Experian goes on to say, be skeptical when someone contacts you. Like I said, ask questions. Don't click on unknown links. Be careful with your phone. Enable multi-factor authentication. This is actually one that I should have touched on, but I didn't. If you have any sort of accounts that have two-factor authentication, enable it. please go ahead and do such a thing. Okay. If a company seems weird, maybe take a look into them. Don't refund any overpayments. Period. One of the most common ones online is the refund scam, where they go ahead, connect to your computer, have you fill out a refund form, then say, oh, look, you accidentally, instead of entering in 300, you accidentally added 2 extra zeros and entered 30,000. We need that 30,000 back. There never was a 30,000 deposited and you just paid them out 30,000. Those sort of things. Look for any suspicious payment requirements. As we mentioned before, money orders, wire transfers, cryptocurrency, gift cards. Gift cards being the biggest red flag. I'm just telling you, the IRS will not accept payment via Target gift cards. And they'll try to be clever about it. They'll try to go ahead and say something along the lines of the iTunes voucher. Okay, there, bud. And then finally, one of the things they actually say is create a family password. You know how I came up with the example of like coming up with like some kind of question only the real person would know? That whole thing like about saying, wow, Terry, how'd you get in Australia? You were sick with COVID. And then mentioning, yeah, Terry never had COVID. You know, things like that. They're saying just come up with a password. Or like a secret phrase that only the family would know. Let you know that sort of thing. It's important stuff, you know. It might be a little heavy for first thing in the morning, but always be aware of these sort of things and you will be ahead of everything. All right, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, I actually want to get into a little something my producer here got for me, and that is actually removing stains from your clothes. We're going to go ahead and I'll give you some expert opinions on this because this is actually what I do for a living, is taking care of clothing. This is Coffee Thoughts. We're taking a break right here.
Are you running late? Well, the Procrastinator Accelerator has you covered. This program is brought to you by the Procrastination Accelerator. Just press the button and instantly generates a convincing excuse for any situation. From I accidentally time traveled to my cat needs a pep talk. You'll never miss a deadline again. Now available at Google's.
That's just the opening again? That's really what oh. Anyway, welcome back, Coffee Thoughts. Eagle Falcon sitting in for Jerry. Now then, he really puts up with no bumpers. He just plays the opening again? Really? Really? Huh. In any case, let's go ahead and actually get to a bit of stain removal. Now, this is one thing that I think a lot of people don't know about how to get stains out of clothes, out of carpeting. The key here is all about the chemistry. Okay. That is what it's all about right here. All right, it's all about trying to get whatever stain removal chemicals you're using to blend nicely. Now, one of the first things is you want to go ahead and treat whatever the stain is as quickly as possible. We're going ahead and following a guide here from the Clean Institute. I'm going to interject with whatever knowledge I have because I actually work at a dry cleaner. So I know a thing or two about actually removing stains the right way. They're going to be talking about this from a consumer point of view. I'm going to tell you what to do from a professional point of view. Okay. The first thing to do is, of course, treat it as early as possible. The more time the stain has to soak in, the more time whatever it is has to go ahead and work in there and do whatever it's doing, the more in a rough spot you're going to be. Okay. The more the stain has time to actually set in, the more it has to get deeper than any sort of chemical can actually get in. And then the harder it's going to get. All right. That just is what it is. All right. Now they just say here, less time to soak in, the better. Pre-treat with a stain remover, let it soak in. Oh man. I hate this. I actually hate the fact they just say a stain remover. Because like I know in the consumer world, all we have is just, you know, things like Shout or what's the one I have? Zout that I use for just like, that's just a general stain remover. Like 7 times out of 10, that's going to be good enough and get whatever it is out, especially if you treat it right away. But there are some things that if mixing correctly is just going to let that stain just stay there. Blood being the first thing that comes to mind. Oh my God, blood, you need very specific things to do. Wine's another one that I don't know what is available in the consumer world to get that taken care of. I mean, we would use Spot Shot to take that out. I don't know if there's a an over-the-counter equivalent to that. I mean, blood you have to treat very specifically. You want to go ahead and as soon as you can get hydrogen peroxide on there or oxygen bleach. Oxygen bleach is hydrogen peroxide, by the way, if in case you didn't know. Shockers, I know. How many people actually didn't know that hydrogen peroxide is just oxygen bleach, or that oxygen bleach is just hydrogen peroxide? That's literally all it is. That's all OxyClean is, hydrogen peroxide. By the way, don't eat oxygen bleach. Don't eat bleach. Period. But I digress. Getting to all that. But general, you want to go ahead and let the stain remover soak in, and then launder according to the fabric care instructions. Overall, you want to make sure for most stains that it's warm, not hot. Warm water. If it's grease, you want hot. If it's warm, if in any other case, you usually want warm. If it's blood, you want cold. If it's any sort of protein-based stain, you want cold. But you also want to make sure you follow the care label first and foremost. Because if that stain is something that... Because if the fabric is something that just can't handle hot temps, you wash it in hot, well, guess what? You're going to have confetti. You're going to have a ruined shirt. You're going to have a ruined set of pants. That's just the natural way of things. If it says do not wash, dry clean only, well, guess what? You're going to a dry cleaner's. I would actually check that first. Check your care label. If it just says dry clean only and you have a stain on it, just take it to the dry cleaners. Don't bother. Don't soak in some sort of thing. Oh, we should actually talk about that too, shouldn't we? Let's talk about dry versus wet. All right. There's 2 types of cleaning. All right. There's wet cleaning, there's dry cleaning. Dry cleaning just means that it's handled at a shop where no water comes into contact with it. Instead, we use a machine that operates just like a washing machine, except it's a closed system. And instead of water, we're using a solvent. Almost all dry cleaners are using a solvent called Perk. Some other ones use, they don't tell us the exact solvent, but other ones use what's called D5. It's way more expensive and not as effective. And hydrocarbons is another one. If they say they're using green earth solvent, they're using D5. D5 and hydrocarbons are more environmentally friendly, but here's a deep, dark secret. All dry cleaners, it's a closed loop system. It doesn't matter. They are keeping 100% of that solvent inside the system as much as possible. It is used to clean your clothes, and then they dry it to make sure every drop is recaptured, because they want to make sure they distill that solvent and they can use it again. So no perk, no D5, no hydrocarbons are going to be in your clothes, period. You send in a big quilt to get dry cleaned. They will go ahead and they'll run an extra dry cycle to make sure every single drop is recaptured, because us dry cleaners, we don't want to pay for extra solvent if we don't have to. No. No, we want every drop of that back. It is all recaptured. It is all kept closed. It isn't not going to the earth. It's not going to your clothes. It's not going to the air. Nowhere. If I sound like I'm paranoid about that sort of thing, it's because I get so many various little environmentalist Karens that go and just say, your shop is polluting our water. No, it's not. What benefit would I get from polluting the water? None. Zero, nada. But because when it comes to dry cleaning, we want to make sure that whatever spotting agents we're using are not water-based. If it just says dry clean only, don't put anything on it. In fact, really, if you're going to take anything to the cleaners, don't put any spotting chemicals on there. Just period. Just don't. Just don't. It means we got to try and work around it. We got to try and remove whatever the heck it is before we can go ahead and use the stuff that we have. All right. Just getting that out there. Now, they mention here, launder according to the fabric care instructions. Regular stains should come out in cold water, but for extra dirty clothes or very tough stains, use the warmest setting safe for the fabric. If the stain remains, repeat the steps above. Do not put in dryer until stain is removed. In a lot of cases, the dryer will, in fact, set the stain, but not always. Just exposure to the air and combined with like the oxygen in the air is going to have a stain set more than anything. But most stains should come out in cold water. But things like grease stains, anything that's like oil based, you want the warmest water you can, because you want to go ahead and break down that oil. In fact, here's a fun little thing you actually can do at home for grease stains. Dish soap. Dead serious. Just a little drop. Work it into the stain with your thumb. And just let that soak in to the grease spot on your shirt or whatever. Dead serious. That is one of the best things you can do. Dish soap chemically has both, the molecule is both lipophilic, meaning it has an affinity for fat, and hydrophilic, meaning it has an affinity for water. So it'll go ahead and bind to the oil, and then when the water comes in, it'll bind to the water and pull it out. That's how it works. And dish soap, because it's literally meant to go ahead and break down the stick of butter you melted on your plate, it's really, really good at removing grease stains. Pro tip right there. Okay, and it even works better in hot water because it helps break down the oil even more. Okay, and they have a bunch of other ones here. Let's actually take a look here what they say for adhesives. Apply ice or cold water to harden surface, then scrape with a dull knife. Saturate and pre-wash stain remover or clean fluid. Rinse, then launder. Um, don't do this. Don't. I'll just tell you this right now. This is fine for home use because you don't have what we have access to. I know what I would use if I had access to the tools that I have at work. It would not be a dull knife. It just wouldn't. It would not be scraping with a dull knife. I would go ahead and soak it in with a dry side solvent. I can't remember what the actual name is. We call it POG. And that starts to break down the adhesive. And then we just start working at from there, because every adhesive behaves differently. So this, not great advice. If you just aren't sure, just take it to a dry cleaners. They'll take care of it. Baby formula, I'll just, yeah, 100%. They're saying pre-treat or soak stains using a product containing enzymes. This means nothing. There's different kinds of enzymes. They know this, right? Look, anything that will go ahead and they'll treat like food, we'll go ahead and start breaking that down. Let that soak in there, launder, it'll come right out. By the way, the answer for baby formula is going to be the same for barbecue sauce. Or apparently not. For barbecue sauce, work from the back of the stain, flush with cold water, pre-treat it with liquid laundry detergent, using an up and down motion with a soft brush, breaking up the stain, rinse well, sponge with white vinegar, rinse again, repeat treating the stain with liquid detergent, then white vinegar until you remove as much of the stain as possible. What in the flying flock are they talking about? It's barbecue sauce, man. It's a tomato-based sauce, dude. You don't need to work at it. They are right in the fact you should wet the stain with cold water. All right, that much is correct. But I mean, we would go ahead and use a product called oh god, I forgot the name of it. I actually did forget the name of it. It's color coded at our shop, but the label has since worn off. But it's one that's still around. We get it refilled constantly, but it is basically the same sort of thing we'd use for baby formula. You go ahead, you use basically any sort of like food remover. So go ahead and get it out. Cold water. You don't need to work the stain in. You might if you like spilt a whole bottle and it's soaked all the way through. You don't need to work it from the back end. Are you mad? And working on it with white vinegar. Why? Vinegar's an acid. Tomato is an acid. That's not going to break anything down. It's not going to do anything. The white vinegar is doing nothing. You just threw white vinegar in here to make it sound like, oh, I have a special treatment for getting this out. This works every time. Bro, come on. Come on. Dude, just pre-treat with a degreaser. There's going to be some fat elements in there that you want to make sure are broken down so it doesn't leave a grease spot on there. Soak in water. And by that I mean just the spot. You don't need to work on anything else. And then just wash it. It'll be fine. If it's still there, then you might need to go ahead and actually take a spotting brush. Can you even get a spotting brush? I'm sure you can find a spotting brush on Amazon or something like that. Then you might take a spotting brush, then work a pre-treater in with the brush. That's what we would do at our spotting boards at the dry cleaners. And actually really work that thing in. I'll tell you what, we haven't needed to use a spotting brush or a bone on a barbecue sauce stain in a long time. Most pre-spotters nowadays, most all-purpose pre-spotters, because if there's one thing you expect from a consumer, it's them to spill barbecue sauce on them or ketchup. Same thing. This is silly. This is 6 steps of trying to make themselves feel like they're smart. Ooh, look how smart I am. This is silly. All right, beverages. Man, let me tell you something. I don't even know. I can't even read this, but I can already tell you. Just generic instruction for how to deal with spilt beverages, BS. Because every beverage is different. Every beverage is different. You have one specifically for baby formula, which is also a beverage, but then just every other beverage you treat this way. Sponge or soak stain in cool water, pre-treat and pre-wash with stain remover, liquid laundry detergent, liquid detergent booster, or paste of powder laundry product and water. Launder using sodium hypochlorite bleach, if safe for fabric, or oxygen bleach. What in the flying f are you talking about? What the fart? Bro, you want to talk about, you went ahead and threw in a whole lot of words, make yourself feel smart. First off, trying to go ahead and say I have for every beverage known to man is silly. It is 100% silly because every beverage is different. Every beverage has different ingredients, and those ingredients are going to break down to different things. If it's just like a soda or something, it's sugar and dye. It's sugar and dye that dissolves into water. That's it. Okay? There's not really a whole lot you're going to be able to do there. It's just pre-spot cold water. Done. As long as you treat it, it's fine. You don't need to go ahead and do anything super fancy. I never get a soda stain one. Wine is another story though. Wine is one in which, if it's a red wine, that product I mentioned earlier, Shot Spot, is what we use for that. All right, that's one that just takes it out like that. No problem. It's crazy. I would almost say in the case of red wine, for the average person at home, just take it to a dry cleaners. Shot Spot's an industry standard. They're most likely going to have it. And it's going to just take it out like that. No problem at all. Okay. 100%. It's not worth it to go ahead and try a whole bunch of stuff that may cause the wine to set in deeper and then permanently discolor the clothes forever. I mean, sodium hypochlorite bleach. First off, that's not even bleach. Sodium hypochlorite bleach. A sodium-based low chlorine bleach. Or oxygen bleach, which again is hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is not going to do anything to it. It's just going to help you feel better. The same thing with going out and finding a sodium hypochlorite bleach. You know what? You get a sodium hypochlorite bleach. You get a sodium hypochlorite bleach if you go ahead and feel you need bleach, but the person is allergic to chlorine. That's what you get it for. And then sodium hypochlorite bleach is not going to go ahead and do a whole lot. In the actual laundry industry, we have far better answers than sodium hypochlorite bleach. I'm just telling you that right now. Don't do that. That's silly. That's there to make you feel smarter. Blood. I swear to God, if I click on this blood tab and it says anything other than cold water and hydrogen peroxide, I'm going to be annoyed. For fresh stains, soak in cold water. Do not use hot water as it will set the blood. That is true. Okay. Soak in cold water, launder. Do not use hot water as that will cause the blood to stain. I can't stress that enough. Do not use hot water when it comes to blood stains. It will set. Okay. There's a way to get set blood stains out. It is very difficult and has no, and is not guaranteed to succeed. Now, if it's dried, pre-treat or soak in warm water with a product containing enzymes and water. That is untrue. Use hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide will breaks down the blood, causes the blood stain to loosen. Cold water, take it out. Wait, pre-treat or soak in warm water. Oh my God. No. Bad. No. If stain remains, rewash using a bleach safe for fabric. I'll tell you this right now. If you don't get the blood stain out the first time, it is most likely there forever. I'm just telling you that right now. It is in too deep and it is set. You're going to then start needing a rust remover because that'll break down the iron actually in the blood, which is what the thing that actually makes it red. That'll help lighten that a bit, but I don't think you can actually get a rust remover over the counter that's safe for fabrics. If it's not safe for fabrics, don't get it. You're going to do something insane. All right. And then, of course, we use, like I say, hydrogen peroxide, but we use something called blood out, which is a chemical specifically to take out blood in hospital garments. And it works extremely well. Of course it does. It's called blood out, for crying out loud. So, of course, it's going to get them out. No problem whatsoever. But I'm telling you, cold water, hydrogen peroxide, it's going to get it out. No problem. Bodily fluids. Pre-treat or soak in product contain enzymes. Launder using sodium hypochlorite bleach if safe for fabric, or oxygen bleach. Oh. All right, look. Bodily fluids can be anything. Not to get gross, but different bodily fluids break down to different things. Hydrogen peroxide will help break down a lot of it. Other things that, like an enzyme containing food remover, can help break down others. Bleach. I mean, look, they're mentioning a lot of bleach. Okay, you know the only time we use bleach. We only use bleach when is that it's linens used for a hospital, that they need absolute perfect sanitation because bleach is a very good antiviral agent. But then we also back it up with a sour softener that goes ahead and neutralizes and flushes out any remnants of the bleach. Like, bleach is basically bringing a nuclear warhead to a fight against stains, okay? And it doesn't matter whether it's chlorine bleach, sodium hypochlorite bleach, or oxygen bleach, or hydrogen peroxide. It's going to do a lot of damage, okay? You want to be careful with this sort of stuff. And the reason why I mentioned with the oxygen bleach is more concentrated than the hydrogen peroxide you're going to get. Here's a fun fact. If you go to like your Walgreens or your CVS or wherever, and you just get a bottle of the brown bottle of hydrogen peroxide, that is 30% hydrogen peroxide to 70% water. It is very diluted, and it is still very potent. The oxygen bleach, while not purely hydrogen peroxide, the active ingredient is hydrogen peroxide, and it's much more concentrated in oxygen bleach than it is in the bottle of hydrogen peroxide. Okay. for pretty much any sort of bodily fluids, just give it a shot with your all-purpose, because that's going to have a lot of stuff that's going to help break down most bodily fluids, TM. And wash in cold water. If you're not sure if it'll take it out, just take it to your dry cleaners. And if you're embarrassed because it's just like, oh my God, I was involved in this wacky, crazy night and there's just all this everywhere, everything. Trust me, we've seen worse. We'll giggle about it, but I mean, I guarantee you we've had worse. Like, I think so far what was the nope, I'm not gonna say it. It's morning show. We don't need that kind of talk here. Last one, they're talking about brown or discoloration. Use a rust remover recommended for the fabrics. Launder. Is there actually an over-the-counter rust remover? I'm actually now curious about this. If I go to Amazon right now and I look up a fabric rust remover, am I actually going to get a hit? I actually am. Okay. Here's what I'll tell you about now that I know you actually can get this over the counter. A couple of things you want to know about fabric stain removers, okay? And they actually mentioned this here in the article here, okay? Do not use a sodium hypochlorite bleach to remove rust stains because it may intensify discoloration. This actually gets far worse, all right? Here's the story, okay? Rust removers will first off work instantly, okay? They are the one stain remover that when you use it, you will see a change instantaneously, okay? And it's one thing we test for when we see mysterious brown or a mysterious brown stain we can't identify. We'll go ahead and test it with a rust remover. If it goes away immediately, we know it was iron-based. And then we just flush it out. And we better flush it out because most spotting agents, I want to stress this, are alkaline or neutral based. Okay? It means they are basic or neutral. Rust remover is acidic. Okay? This is very important. They say do not use a sodium hypochlorite bleach. Don't use any bleach with a rust remover. Bleach, by its nature, especially chlorine bleach, is alkaline. It is a very strong base. When it comes to water, it has an acidic effect, but that's beyond the point. If rust remover, which is an acid, combines with a chlorine bleach, by the way, same thing happens with ammonia. You can start to see where this goes. What happens if the chlorine bleach starts to break down? Chlorine is released. You have made chlorine gas. You are now in danger. Yeah. That's why I'm kind of surprised that rust removers are available for fabrics. That's available over the counter. That's kind of wild to me. By the way, to say that a brown or yellow discoloration, it's most likely rust, that is stupid. Okay? Because let me tell you, mysterious brown or yellow stain, 1 time out of 20 will it be rust. 19 times out of 20, it is either blood that has been sitting too long, it has been a barbecue sauce stain that has been sitting too long, it has been a bit of like motor oil that got ground in too long and needs a lot of help to get out. Here's what I'll say, all right? If it's something you don't care about, by all means, try to take care of the stain yourself. If it's something you do care about, please take it to your local dry cleaners. And I'm not saying that because I own a dry cleaners, okay? I am saying that because if you expect us to work a miracle after doing all of this, 9 times out of 10, we can't. Because whatever you did just set the stand. We can't get it out now. Like, all of this from the Clean Institute, this is stupid. Holy cow. This is awful from the Clean Institute. Let me tell you. That is just, ugh, yikes. Big yikes. How much more time do we have here? We have to do one more break. We're actually supposed to be wrapping up. Really? Well, let me go over one last thing. This is actually going to be helpful for the families out there. All right. Steam has released something new out there. This is called Steam Family Sharing. I actually was going to be talking about this on my own podcast, but for the family, this seems actually very useful. All right. What Steam Family Sharing does, it makes it so that all of the kids, anyone in the family, can go ahead and play games that you have bought, and also gives parents control over what kids can and can't buy, and also authorize purchases if they believe that, you know, it's okay for them to do so, rather than, let's say your kid has a Steam Deck, okay? They saved enough from their allowance, they bought a Steam Deck, they can now play PC games with them wherever, okay? They really want to go ahead and get some game you never heard of. They can go ahead and, through the thing itself, ask if it's okay to buy it, rather than come up to you, have you enter your credit cards, have that now be a risk for your credit card and whatnot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And also you can go ahead and limit in this playtime during this. So no more them staying up until 3 a.m. getting hooked to Among Us. I may not have a kid right now, all right? But I know that it's very tough right now for parents to go ahead and try to keep a handle on all this sort of stuff. This feature right here from Steam, top notch, A+. I highly recommend getting that looked at moving forward. And, you know, with all that said and done, folks, my name's Eagle Falcon, sitting in for Jerry, and I hope that you have a great morning. Now get out there, enjoy your cup of coffee, and have a fantastic day. What does Jerry usually say? You didn't give me any notes over there. Yeah, you. Yeah, you over there. You didn't give me anything for what he usually says. You have any idea how not helpful that is?
This program is brought to you by the Self-Cleaning Socks. Our self-cleaning socks magically shed the dirt and sweat and odors away. Plus, with built-in GPS, you'll never lose a sock again. Warning, may cause occasional teleports to Bermuda. Now available in Bermuda.
Linus Media downsizes drastically. Good morning, I'm Eagle Falcon. It is April 1st, and these are your headlines. Canadian tech media company Linus Media Group has downsized drastically, selling off all of their real estate, estimating roughly 4 different commercial warehouses, and moving into the original home they started at over 10 years ago. It is uncertain at this point what this means for the young YouTube company that has been around for well over a decade. Pal World will be releasing a monster dating sim that will include not safe for work scenes, quote unquote. What that is to mean, we still do not at this time. The dating sim will be released later today. It is something that you should be aware of. If whether your kids are going to be getting a hold of this game or not. Joe Biden has gotten a huge boost in the polls after finally becoming a Super Saiyan. The golden glow of his now 10 pounds of hair said to have finally given a demanding lead over his competition. Check it on the sports. The Brewers have clinched the NCAA brackets at the US Open today. They will be at the Super Bowl or something. I don't know. The sports guy is actually out sick today. He didn't give me any words. For the weather, the National Storm Prediction Center has issued a tornado outlook of 10% for southern Illinois and southeastern Missouri. Keep an eye on your local weather out there and be prepared to take shelter if tornado warnings are issued. This is 1337 AM WTAF Radio. I'm Eagle Falcon. And your next show is up next.
This program is brought to you by the Instant Wisdom Inhaler. Inhale brilliance. Our pocket-sized inhaler delivers instant wisdom. Just take a deep breath and suddenly you'll know the meaning of life, the cure for hiccups, and the Wi-Fi password to any coffee shops. Now available at your local coffee shop.
Welcome on in. This is the Nomad's Road. I'm Eagle Falcon, filling in for Hank Baines, who unfortunately couldn't get a cell signal today, as I assume he is out on the open road somewhere. Am I just filling in for everyone today? Is that how today's going to be? Because I heard Cletus isn't in either. You have a different fill-in for that guy? All right. Ugh. I still have my own show to do. You know that, right? I don't have a fill-in for mine. I never get a fill-in for mine. In any case, I am the tech guy around here. All right. I know everything when it comes to computers. The whole van life thing is fascinating to me just because it is taking the exact opposite of what I'm used to. I am used to going ahead, being surrounded by technology, having unlimited power, and all of that. So, to me, the concept of being in the great outdoors, slightly foreign, not completely foreign, mind you, but slightly foreign, but also having to think about all the little things. And, you know, you all come here on a weekly basis to go ahead and see. Wait, he does this daily? Oh, weekdays. Did I have one yesterday then? No? Oh yeah, yesterday was Easter. Well, I don't know. I feel like I've been in the studio for 7 days today, doing the prep for flipping every show. Don't get sassy with anyway. We're doing a show. We're gonna focus actually more on the basics today, because the thing is, in these sort of broadcasts, you always have new people coming in and you have the usuals coming in, and it's always good to just kind of get down to the basics, mostly because I also don't know what the heck I'm even talking about when it comes to this sort of thing. Now, for those who somehow don't know, what is van life? What is this podcast? This podcast, first off, you couldn't tell, it was about van life, actually living in a tiny home on wheels. All right. We usually refer to van life because it usually is a converted van, but it can be anything. Van life also is considered in truck campers or just living in pretty much any kind of RV whatsoever, though the bigger you go, the more obvious you are, and also the harder you're going to have getting around. The reason vans are always sought after is because, well, you blend in. You're a van. There are some things that make it obvious. What do you look at me for that for? Look, I'm sorry, but you see a white panel van in the middle of a parking lot that's got solar panels on the top and a giant freaking air duct on the top. Guess what? I'm not going to think they're just there hauling cargo. No, I'm going to think they're living in it. What power would a freaking solar... I'm just saying, you van lifers are nowhere near as stealth as you think you are. And just keep that in mind. If I can spot you, all right? If I can spot you, anyone trying to find you can spot you too, all right? Don't think you can go ahead and break parking laws just because, oh, I'm a van. They won't know. They'll know. Okay? Just get that out of the way too. I don't like you. Give me the other producer. Give me the other guy. I mean, he already went, oh, jeez. You know, I don't get a producer for my show. I'm being unprofessional. Whatever. So, in any case, the whole thing with van life is to have freedom. The freedom of not being locked down to one place, but also the freedom to just travel the world. It was incredibly popular during the pandemic. Oh, wow. The number of people who just went full nomad during the pandemic is unreal. But there's a couple of things you need to make sure you can do. First off, one of the most important, you have some kind of income. All right. And we actually have some tips here from the KOA, which is one of the biggest. Are we done with the technical difficulties over there? Are we done with that? Amateurs. I'm working with amateurs today. What I'm dealing with, Jesus. One of the first things you want to make sure is that you have some form of income, okay? Despite the fact you no longer have to deal with bills such as electricity, water, or rent, living on the road, you will have other bills. Gas being the big one, or diesel, depending on your van. All right. Yeah, you can go ahead and set up solar panels. Yeah, you can go ahead and set up those sort of batteries. You can go ahead and set up a whole electric system and those sort of batteries. Lithium batteries, what you should be using. You know, go ahead and set all that up, but let me tell you something. You're still buying gas. And before someone goes, they'll just buy an electric van. Do you have any idea how much power you need? I don't care how many solar panels you put on the top of your van. You are not moving a van on solar. There ain't no way. Those solar panels are usually on a 12-volt system. Most electric vehicles are on a, I want to say, 600-volt system. The conversion's not looking good, is the bottom line. It takes a lot of power to move a vehicle. You're not doing that through solar on a van. You need a lot more solar than that. I'm just saying. All right. Solar will do great for powering the rest of the home if you sip power. Okay. More than likely, you won't have an AC unit. You're going to have to just deal with traveling to somewhere that's cool enough during the summer months. You're going to go ahead and most likely heat off, probably off diesel. Diesel heaters is what I've heard the most, usually. Like all these sort of things are things you need to consider when doing a build. But the first thing is that it's going to cost money. It's going to cost money. You're most likely going to have to pay some campgrounds to stay there for the day. There's very few places you can stay for the night for free. There are a few. Walmart usually would. I think they've cracked down on that a little bit. Cracker Barrel would, as long as you let them know. Truck stops, of course, have overnight parking, but you're at a truck stop now, and well, you're most likely to hear the rumblings of trucks. And let me tell you, their sleepers are a lot more insulated than your van is, most likely. So, these are all things you need to keep in mind with this sort of thing. If you're looking, though, to get into this sort of lifestyle, if you're looking to go ahead and have this kind of freedom, though, it might be trade-offs you're willing to do. But there's far too many out there that just assume, oh, I went ahead and got a van. I can go ahead and travel wherever the heck I want. Isn't all sunshine rainbows? For crying out loud, Hank Baines isn't here because he can't find a cell phone signal wherever the heck he is. That's pretty common. Yeah, you have Verizon, the Why Discovery Network. Guess what? They still have dead spots. My T-Mobile map says that my entire area is covered. Guess what? I'm in a dead spot for them. The only reason I get messages because I have flipping Wi-Fi. What is it called? Just called Wi-Fi calling? Yeah, it is just called Wi-Fi calling. Oh, I got a message that was blocked by spam. Neat. These are all things you need to consider. Okay? And these are all important things to think about if this sort of lifestyle interests you. Okay? It's all very, very important. And of course, because you are bound by how much gas you have, you do need to plan everything, and you do need to budget. You need to go ahead and keep everything organized. You need to go ahead and embrace the fact that you're living off grid, because you most likely will not always have a cell signal. You always want to make sure you're planning, staying informed, all that sort of jazz. You want to keep it all in mind. All right. That's all I'm saying in regards. And then also make sure you get a producer that actually plans well for you. Don't look at me like you gave me tips from a KOA and said, here, just make something with this. I can't make anything with. Anyway. Now, I know most van lifers I've heard about, because they want to go ahead and save money. They will go ahead, actually find a decommissioned van themselves, and outfit it themselves. Let me tell you, you guys are one of the reasons why used vans are at such an all-time high. A lot of people like to do this, and if you want to go ahead and do it, that's fantastic. Can I just say something after looking at a few videos of this sort of thing? Insulate your walls. And insulate them well. Please. Pretty please. The number of times I have heard horror stories about pipes freezing in vans that decided to go up into the mountains is unreal, because they just didn't insulate. Now they have a disaster. Yeah. And try to be a little smarter about that, okay? That's all I'm going to say on that. Now, this entire movement has gone ahead and made these sort of things pretty freaking expensive. Like, just for fun, because the producer I have here is just like, you're just going to cover the basics anyway, and gave me a freaking KOA tooltip. I instead decided to go ahead and see how much these vans are going for. What is the price of van lifing out there? Well, It's higher than I would have thought. I'll just tell you that much. Now, we have a bunch that are production, a bunch that are handmade, and you can kind of tell which ones are which. Look at some of these prices here. Like Vancraft, I assume that these are production units, 164K, 130K, 125K. This one's homemade, Babe the Blue Sprinter. If that's not a home build, I don't know what is. 160K. Random Ram ProMaster, I guarantee you that's a homemade. 68 grand. That one's actually not bad. 55 grand for this Mercedes here. Like, all of these are crazy. Oh wow, 30K is actually not bad at all. Like, some of these are pretty reasonable. Other of these are just yikes. Especially when you consider, you know, what you can get in the production world. Like, probably one of the ones that actually came across my mind. I know it's sacrilege to talk about a camper in the world of van life, but consider this, okay? Consider this truck camper by Cirrus. All right? Or actually, not by Cirrus, by New Camp. The brand is Cirrus. All right? It's big, it's bulky, you know, but your form factor is not going to be too much different than a van. You're going to be slightly more obvious, but nowhere near as obvious as you think compared to, you know, a van. I'm just saying, a van's obvious. If you have solar panels on a van, you're obvious. Just own it. Anyway, the thing's pretty obvious what you're doing, how you're living, that sort of thing. What's nice about this sucker is that it is an all-in-one package, and this actually is solar off-grid. You're rocking 930 watts of solar with an 810 amp hour lithium battery pack. This sort of thing is all set up so that you're generating power constantly. No generator, no nothing. You have a step-in bathroom in there. You have extra sleeping. You have... This carousel's going quick. Holy cow. Got a nice kitchen, induction stove. You have a cramped little space for the bed, but that's fine. You have a dry bath. No need to worry. In all these vans, you have what's called a wet bath, meaning that you have the toilet inside the shower stall. That gets a little cramped and a little... Ugh. But there you got a full dry bath. You have a little dinette. You have a fridge. You have everything. We have a TV. It's an all nice built-in package. This whole thing is about 80 grand. Combine that with the class 4 truck you're most likely going to have to use to haul this. Does it actually even say what you need? To haul this thing? Actually, not even giving the price. The only reason I know it because I looked it up ahead of time. But no, you're gonna want a 1 ton. You're gonna want a 1 ton dually minimum for this sucker. You know, that's got all your plumbing done, and this is actually 4-season rated too. On top of all that, and has an air conditioner, and is able to power the air conditioner off the batteries for probably about 3 hours. I'm just saying. Always keep your mind open to options out there, because as much as people want to go ahead and say, oh my god, I'm going to live on the van life and it's going to look awesome like one of these, oh my god, you're not getting one of these. You're not getting one of these. You're not even going to be getting one of these either. All right, it's just not going to happen. These things are just way out there for what's needed. All right. Not gonna lie though, I would like to drive one of those. Those look awesome. But if you do want to try and go this life, if you want to try and go full nomad, I can't stress this enough. Plan ahead. Plan ahead. Plan like nobody's business, because otherwise you're going to be like one of those guys that just does all this and just well, because I'm trapped out in the middle of nowhere with no way to contact anyone. I'm doomed. Yay! Don't be that guy. Think things through. And that's all I can say for that. Now, for that, I'm going to head out here. What? What are you saying? I have another half hour. What am I supposed to talk about for a half hour? I gotta prep my own show. What are you, mad? You grabbed the laptop guy and told him, go talk about freaking living on the road. Do I look like some hiking survivalist to you? No. You know what? You go ahead and figure out how you're filling out the rest of the time. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out of stuff to talk about. All right. If you want to go here, you know what? You get in the seat. Yeah. See, I can hear you playing the music now. So that's gonna do it for here at Nomads Road. This is probably the worst episode of Nomads Road that ever played the planet. But I hope you enjoyed listening. Nonetheless. Take care, and I hope you have a great day. Now go out there, hit the road, and see the sights. Or stick around. Eagle Eyes on Tech coming up next, which is going to be a far better podcast because I don't have you.
This program is brought to you by the Invisible Pet Leash. You can now walk your invisible pet in style. Our leash is perfect for non-existent dogs, phantom cats, and imaginary llamas. Comes in an invisible poop bag and dispenser. Because even invisible pets gotta go. Now available at your invisible Walmart.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or it's 2 a.m. Go to bed already. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. Oh, it's been a day. It has been an exhausting day, but we're here now. We got news to cover. All right. A lot of it is very, very interesting. The fun part is the fact that this is coming out on the 1st. So there's going to be tons of stuff I'm going to talk about that happened before the 1st, which means that next week I'm going to have to talk about all the silly things that happened on April Fool's and have a good laugh with everyone about it. What isn't an April Fool's joke, however, is the fact that Canva has acquired the company known as Affinity Design in an attempt to go ahead and push back against Adobe. Now, for those who don't know who any of these people are, who don't know who Canva is, who Affinity Design is, I don't blame you. I don't know who Affinity Design is. This is my first time hearing about them too. I do know about Canva though. Canva is actually the software I use to make my thumbnails on YouTube. It actually is a pretty decent kind of little online only software. That's a pretty decent sort of media tool. Is it going to be good enough to replace, say, Photoshop? No. But it is very simple to use. And it is free to use, except they do have a premium that is $30 a month. Let me tell you, $30 a month is too expensive for what I use it for. I just stick to I'll just tell you this right now. If they get rid of the free version and start going to a more Adobe-like model, juices, I'm out. I'll be more than happy to just go ahead and use GIMP. Just straight up. No questions about it. 100% I would just use GIMP. But we do start to see the fact that there aren't a whole lot of competition out there for competition to Adobe. Like you have DaVinci Resolve, which is fantastic software. Love the stuff. I use it here. You have Canva for kind of basic picture editing. that's a web app, and pretty much anything can use it. You could even use it on a Chromebook. So for all of you Chromebook people, I know you're out there, you won't shut up about it, that want to try and find use for the Chromebook, yes, you can use Canva on your Chromebook. You can't use GIMP on your Chromebook. So you can go ahead and save money, buy a Chromebook, and then waste that money on a $30 a month subscription, or you could have just had GIMP in the first place on a real computer. Just saying. No, I couldn't let it go. I can't let Chromebooks have a single W. I just simply can't. We'll have to see how this thing goes. Canva is kind of a thing I'm curious about. I wouldn't mind Canva if it was $10 a month. I really wouldn't. $10 a month I think is perfectly acceptable for the software they offer, but for for what they're offering for $30 a month, it makes no sense. Unless there's something I'm missing, which is quite possible. $30 a month for what they have ain't worth it. Not in the least. Meanwhile, Sam Bankman-Fried has been sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. That has finally come down. And with that done, what's the next move against crypto? Well, the SEC is going to be pushing forward with a case against Coinbase. We are starting to see that move forward as well. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is looking into Coinbase and cryptocurrencies in general for how cryptocurrency is being used and whether its use case is or isn't legal. I'm not gonna lie, not a financial expert at all. I'm not. Never have, never will be. Probably. But holy cow, I am very, very, very curious to see how this goes down. I really am. I really do want to know, how is cryptocurrency going to be viewed by nations? We have been wondering this since Bitcoin's pretty much first boom. The first time that Bitcoin was actually worth a real dollar amount that wasn't 10 cents, when it finally started pushing into like the 10s, 15s, $50 per Bitcoin, the question began arising, just how long can this currency exist and not be challenged in the way it's used, especially when it's been used countless times in a questionably legal fashion? Well, as per usual, all we can do is wait and see. In other news, to no one's surprise, Amazon has found in their own internal brand protection report that there's a lot of counterfeit goods on Amazon. In other news, the sky is blue or gray if it's cloudy, and water is wet. I know. Only riveting, truthful things said on this podcast on this April Fool's. Seriously, only now you're realizing there's tons of counterfeit and low quality products on your platform? For crying out loud. I have been raising this alarm for over a year. Why am I torturing this poor straw cleaner? I'm gonna like break this thing. I should put it away before I'm like angrily flailing it around. I even said it. Try finding a vacuum cleaner on Amazon. You have to go through a sea of Dyson knockoffs, a literal ocean of low quality stuff that barely works. It's awful and terrible. But hey, finally you're getting around to it, right? And of course, we'll have to go ahead and see what Amazon does plan on doing to tackle this. They have a plan here, but here's what I believe in. I believe actions always speak louder than words. That being said, though, their strategy does look at 4 key areas. Powerful and highly effective proactive efforts to protect our store, industry-leading tools enabling rights owners to partner with us to better protect their brands, advances in holding bad actors accountable, and improving customer protection and education. All right, so 4 is just never going to happen. We'll see. We will see how this moves forward. Because quite frankly, I mean, they're trying to claim that they stopped 700,000 bad actor attempts to create new selling accounts. If that's what they stopped, by God, they need to step it up, because there are so many bad actors out there that are currently active on Amazon. Like, for crying out loud, just look at the tech space. I'm willing to bet it takes me very little time at all to go ahead and on Amazon.com to find a counterfeit SD card. Let me just go ahead and go. Just 1 terabyte SD card. Oh, there we go. It actually took me a while to find one. Not gonna lie. There's one right there. $21 for 1 terabyte SD card slot. I guarantee you it ain't gonna fly. No. Especially since no one. Just no. I guarantee it. Oh, there's another. Super Duo. There's just tons of these out there. Another Super Duo. Those cards, by the way, the $20 ones, they prey on people who don't know. What you end up getting is a 16 gigabyte SD card slot that constantly overwrites itself. And it overwrites itself very slowly, so you never know. By the time they do know, you're gone. That's common. That's incredibly common. In other concerning news, though, here's a story that is absolutely kind of scary. Not gonna lie. The feds have ordered Google to unmask certain YouTube users, specifically people who have watched suspicious YouTube videos. Not in people who have made and uploaded videos. No. People who have viewed videos. Let's pretend for a minute, okay, you are a curious individual on the internet. All right. I myself fall into this category. I am a very curious person on the internet. Let's pretend there is a super scary video on hacking the planet. Okay. I go ahead, view the video, not because I want to learn how to hack the planet, but because I want to see what is in this video so I can report on it for a tech podcast. Well, now I'm on a list because the feds have ordered YouTube to unmask that. Can you imagine what that might feel like for, heck, let's just actually even just imagine something for a moment. If you can get in trouble for watching a specific YouTube video, what is stopping someone from remoting into your computer and opening the video or leaving a live stream up on loop? Keep in mind, this is for viewing the video. This is beyond concerning. This is actually scary. Will there be any action done on this? I don't know. If there is, here's the thing. Here in the US, at the very least, there could be a case for it being unconstitutional. That could be a violation of the, I believe, 4th Amendment of search and seizure. I'm sure the Forbes article would say it, but I'm not paying $1 a week to read more of this article. I'm just not. I also wish I picked an article that wasn't from Forbes. You think I would remember this after doing the research? Ah, well. The point is, viewing a video should not prove guilt. That is an insane statement. Completely and utterly insane. So, all I can say is that I do hope this is put to a stop. I do hope there is not a whole lot of action taken upon this from the government side of things. And I do hope that there's some pushback against this, because this is absolutely crazy. And if that didn't rustle your jibbies, here's something that might. AI is coming to your Google search results even if you don't opt in. It is going to be on an opt-out basis where Google is going to be using generative search experiences with AI to anyone as long as you have not opted out. Actually, is there even an opt-out option? I just assumed there was. There actually might not be an opt-out. They're not saying there's an opt-out option. You're just getting this, like it or not. No opt-in or opt-out. It's just happening. It's a little terrifying. Not gonna lie. That's a little much. That's a big no. No. Please no. I guess I need to go and switch to DuckDuckGo, which probably wouldn't be the worst idea in the world if you want to try and avoid even more AI. I will say this much, though. As someone who has recently had to play with AI, it's gotten better. It is not ready for prime time yet, but it is improving. I will say that much. Not improving enough, though, for the city of New York. New York City AI. I'm sorry, there's a New York City AI chatbot touted by the mayor for telling businesses what exactly they can and can't do, as well as answering questions for the public for how laws work within the city. The bot then hallucinated and then told businesses advice that would in fact break the law, because of course AI is a perfect thing and never has any flaws ever, to which we have to give a customary slow freaking clap. Incredible. Simply incredible. What else can you say to this? Just absolutely hilarious. City powered AI bot tells you exactly how to break the law. No concerns here or out. Word is still out as to whether the bot is going to be enabled in the long run, but here's the spoiler for you. Probably not. New York City actually has been having a lot of problems lately. Recently in my YouTube feed, a YouTuber by the name of Cash Gordon has been popping up a lot, and New York City has been having so many problems lately. He has moved on from just showing off apartments to showing off the city's problems. When a real estate YouTube channel switches over to problems versus what's actually going on, you have a problem. You have a real problem. I'm just saying. Sorry, I was just checking on a text message there. Meanwhile, also in the AI field, Claude 3, another text-based AI bot, has surpassed GPT-4 in the chatbot arena based on a popular crowdsourcing leaderboard, Chatbot Arena. Now, here's the thing, all right? Before people start cheering on that OpenAI is dead, long live the open source arena, they're about to release GPT-5. And they already said publicly, GPT-4 is like a child's toy compared to GPT-5. Right now, even OpenAI hates GPT-4 because they already know they have something that much better about to hit the field. So before you go ahead and go, oh, thank God, OpenAI is finally getting what's coming to them. Not really. Someone caught up and they're about to get lapped. Most likely again. I personally could care less, because for me to actually start caring about AI and LLMs and all that sort of jazz, they really do need to show a very good use case other than for memes and jokes. And right now, that's all AI is to me. It's used for jokes, for silly little projects. There's tons of companies trying to go ahead and use it for professional work, to which then they still need to have a human go over and look over it, which I have to say, what was the point then? If a human has to do all this work anyway, why not just have them work on it in the first place and not have to correct all these mistakes? But I guess I'm old-fashioned in that regard anyway. So all I can do is just sit back and watch the sparks fly in this AI-powered arena that is just called IRL. I'm just not amused. I really am not with everything regarding AI as of late. I will also say this. One of my biggest gripes has been, I don't know how AI is going to make money. I now know how AI is making money. The credit system is crazy. A lot of these sites now are powered by credits. You buy credits for roughly like $1 per credit, and then you are charged based on per advanced submission based on whatever your prompt is. And the rates that are charged for some things are absolutely crazy. I'm still waiting on a few quotes back for some silly little things I was working on, but let me just say, it is nuts what was asked. AI is profitable. The question is, are customers willing to pay? And are those prices higher or lower than what one would charge for people to do it? Because what's the point of AI if, in fact, the average person can still do it for cheaper? Important things to keep in mind. Meanwhile, though, China is putting a ban on all Intel and AMD chips coming into the country. So now all that's allowed in China is ARM design chips and RISC-V. x86 has no future in China. That's interesting. I'm curious though. Will they end up putting a ban on Apple products? Like right now, this back and forth embargo between China and the USA is one giant pissing match that pretty much all started because Huawei was found to basically be a giant backdoor machine and a massive security risk. China's now firing back by blocking Intel and AMD. But if China blocks Apple, that's a far bigger blowback. This is still big though, mind you. Blocking pretty much the two biggest x86 chip manufacturers, I think the only x86 chip manufacturers. Is there anyone else out there? VIA might still be out there. I don't know. Does VIA still make x86 or they give up and just move on to ARM? Because their x86 chips were awful. I used to sell a few netbooks for like $40. Like I bought them for like $5 per in a pallet. It was like a pallet of 60, like $120. No. Wait, what was it? Whatever the math actually works out to. It was like $5 a laptop for like 60 of these things. I bought the entire lot and just sold them dirt cheap with just like bare basics trimmed down Windows 7 on them. They sold well as like, you know, big honkin' aluminum HP netbooks. They were cheap. They could browse the internet at the time. My God, they were slow. So slow. They even had an SSD on board, an eMMC 64 gig SSD, but it's still an SSD on it. But God, they were slow. Ooh, I can't imagine they're still making x86, and I can't imagine they've gotten much better. Those had to have been the slowest chips I've ever seen. Are they still allowed into China? I think that's more worthy of a ban than anything. But in all seriousness, this is another step into the blocking of the Western world. China trying to punch back after they've been punched in trying to send out the spyware of Huawei. And granted, this is also why a TikTok ban has been on the table. How is that ban doing, by the way? I have heard nothing. Right now we have heard not a whole lot. Okay. Right now, according to the Wall Street Journal, as far as the TikTok ban is going, there is some concerns about the app being banned and hindering prospects of re-election in this election year. Didn't I say that I was stunned that it was moving forward so easily in an election year? Of course it did. It was stunning that they'd be willing to go ahead and just absolutely ostracize an entire voter base just to go ahead and send a message to China. But it is what it is. We're going to take our first break here. When we come back, I have some interesting news regarding GPUs, including an open source one, news about ARM coming to Windows, and the next Intel Arc GPUs. And lots more to come. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Fortune Cookie Translator has sponsored this wonderful program. Crack Open Wisdom, our handheld device deciphers cryptic fortune cookie messages. Finally, you'll know if your lucky numbers are 3, 7, and pineapple means you should invest in a tropical fruit farm. Now available over in Hawaii's.
Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. Qualcomm is demoing Baldur's Gate 3 running on their Snapdragon X Elite laptops. We've been wondering what exact performance we can go ahead and see from the Windows equivalent of Apple Silicon, all right? Because there's no mistake. Phone ARM does not equate to laptop and desktop performance. It simply can't. It's incredibly difficult. The performance is not measurable. You don't have the heat dissipation. So how strong can ARM get outside of an Apple lab where they're going ahead and fine-tuning everything to be just the way they exactly want it? Well, this is apparently where it leads to. It leads to Baldur's Gate 3, which is a fairly demanding game, being runnable on ARM. Now, a couple of things I don't know. I don't know if Baldur's Gate 3 has been recompiled to be ARM optimized, or if it's running through an x86 emulator. That's going to be a huge thing, because right now it's just 30 FPS at 1080p at like medium settings, which is, decent, but it's not incredible. Okay. But if it's doing that through emulation, that is incredibly impressive. Like 1080p medium settings with 30 FPS, let's be honest, for Baldur's Gate 3 on a laptop, that's just like, yeah, okay, you're a thin and light alternative. You're doing that through emulation. Okay, now you're a real chip. And it's more of these kind of demos we want to see. This demonstration was unfortunately only at Barcelona and San Diego. In Barcelona and San Diego. But as soon as I said in Barcelona and San Diego, I'm like, wait a second. That's not how cities work. And only a handful of influencers saw it. So there's still a lot of question marks in all this, but it's quite possible that an ARM future is coming sooner than we think. And unfortunately, here's the sad thing. Because of the architecture of ARM, the art of PC building would take a serious hit. Because with ARM, everything's on the chip. Everything. The RAM's on the chip. A lot of the storage is on the chip. The GPU's on the chip. The CPU's on the chip. Everything's on the chip. So what's the point of doing anything else? But still, it is. Here's where I stand on this, okay? The ARM future is going to be coming. And I think ARM is fantastic for performance per watt loadouts. Okay. If you are solely on the road, okay, if you're one of those guys that is constantly traveling, you want to sip as little power as possible, ARM chips are going to be the way to go. Hands down. If you're going to be at a convention center, by God, an ARM laptop lasting over 24 hours, killer. You don't have to worry about whether it's on, off, sipping power, or whatever. I travel mobile workstation laptop. It has 2 battery lives. 8 hours if I'm not doing anything, or 1 hour if I'm doing something. Nothing in between. That's just the nature of the beast. And if ARM's able to let you go ahead and get, 16, 24 hours while doing something, that is huge. And that's something that x86 has only been able to dream of. You want to know why Intel has been pushing for big little architecture and looking for efficiency wherever they can? This is why. They can keep pushing for high performance, and they do. They do with their furnaces of desktop CPUs. But they keep pushing for efficiency because they can see the writing on the wall with ARM. AMD also is looking that territory as well. Meanwhile, though, another section of Intel is showing off, well, not really showing off, but images and benchmarks have leaked of Intel's new Battle Mage Arc GPUs. The previous ones were Intel Alchemist GPUs, and they were, once fully baked, pretty good. Although they started out a little raw in the middle. But these new ones, however, are showing upwards of 20 and 24 core GPUs spotted with 12 gigabytes of RAM. This could be a combination that might even compete with the mid to high end of AMD and NVIDIA. And when I say that, I mean like compete with like the 4070 and the 4070 Ti. I don't think these are gonna be able to touch the 80 tier and the 90 tier. I don't think that's gonna be possible. We still got to count on AMD touching that. And can we please just keep pushing against NVIDIA and AMD's pricing? It still hurts. It's the performance per dollar that these two are pushing right now are abysmal. And we're going to get into kind of that whole wheelhouse in a bit. But let's get back to the AI side of these things, because on the AI side, you want more GPU power. You need more GPU power. And Tiny Corp, a company that sells mini AI compute boxes, has decided they're going to use both AMD and NVIDIA, despite the fact that AMD is not meeting their demands as of yet. However, the NVIDIA version is going to be 67% more expensive. Wow. That's incredible. That much of a price difference between frickin' AMD and NVIDIA GPUs. I'm willing to bet that this is because they're not using gaming GPUs, they're using the AI GPUs, and I know NVIDIA's AI GPUs are crazy expensive. Yep, that's exactly right. The price for this compact AI acceleration server package, packing 6 GPUs, will vary heavily depending on your choice. AMD is $15,000 and NVIDIA is $25,000. I don't think going into detail as to what the GPUs are specifically. I do not see any hints as to what GPUs are actually inside these boxes. That does say a lot as to what kind of performance or what kind of price difference is between NVIDIA versus AMD. Meanwhile, in China, however, the sanctions for AMD or for NVIDIA's 4090 is not really doing a whole lot, because it turns out the 4090D that NVIDIA has released is overclockable and very easily brings it up to the performance levels of the 4090 Founders Edition. Are you really this surprised? I'm not. I'm surprised it was able to happen without a BIOS unlock or something. But yeah, I know it's just NVIDIA doing NVIDIA things, trying to find workarounds to go ahead and get their products in where they're not supposed to. Make sure they get their dollar. Make sure they go ahead and continue selling where they shouldn't, etc., etc. Again, no surprise to really anyone keeping an eye on how things are going in the GPU world. Meanwhile, there's some other tomfoolery going on in China. This has to do with 5.5G networks. China is launching phones with China Mobile using 5.5G technology. The thing is that this isn't fluff. 5.5G actually is a real thing, and it does boast better speeds, but more importantly, reliability and power consumptions. This will be marketed here in the Western world as 5G Advanced. We saw 4G Advanced for a while, and in fact, some more dishonest mobile carriers, all of them, tried to market this as 5G before 5G even launched. I lied. I think a few of them were honest about it. AT&T definitely wasn't one of them. No, not in the least. So expect AT&T to market this as 6G. Real talk though, 5G, it is really infuriating with 5G. The fact that in areas it can be more unstable, have more connection issues, despite having incredible speeds. Speeds that you can absolutely rely on if they were consistent. So perhaps when 5G Advanced launches, a lot of those issues could be resolved. But here's the thing, I highly doubt it. I absolutely 100% highly doubt that it will solve all the problems. I imagine it's going to be hastily rolled out, pushed out as the latest thing, and then not a whole lot of people are going to support it. Let's be honest, most phones right now are just going to be pushing the AI thing without a whole lot of reason as to why you should support the whole AI thing. That's just the unfortunate truth right now. So all we can do, wait and see how things are used. Sigh. I wish that wasn't the case. Let's talk about a different country. Let's talk about the European Union. The EU is now targeting Apple, Meta, and Google for DMA non-compliance. The EU finally realized that, in fact, companies were not obeying their rules to the surprise of literally no one who has paid attention. Quite frankly, I'm surprised it took the EU this long to realize that, in fact, things were this bad. So yeah, investigations are underway to see how badly Apple, Meta, and Google are disobeying the DMA, and of course, fines will be issued, hopefully of actual amount. I seriously doubt it will be of actual amount, and instead just be ones that are more lean towards, well, just lining a few pockets and just being the cost of business for Apple, Meta, and Google. You think I'm kidding, but I guarantee you that is going to be the case. It is just the nature of the beast. Meanwhile, though, Apple is introducing something new for iPhone users. It is the fact that if you buy an iPhone at the Apple Store, odds are it will in fact be completely up to date thanks to the Presto, an in-box wireless iPhone updater. By using the wireless charging on the phone that is not interfered by a charging brick, data and charging will be sent wirelessly through the box and update the phone, making sure that when you get your phone, it has the latest updates, so you don't have to worry about that stage of phone ownership. I'll be perfectly honest. When I did have an iPhone, Apple updates were stupid quick. Oh my God. They went through in like 2 minutes. It was nothing. You know who needs this technology more? Windows laptops. I am dead serious. They need this. So Best Buy needs this so badly for Windows devices, because Windows updates, I swear, they take 6 years to update. It is crazy how many updates are needed for brand new devices and how long those updates take. And Android, oh, don't worry, we just don't get updates ever. Okay, and in all fairness, actually, because I did give Android flack for this. My Android phone used to refuse to update at night like it said it would. I would be holding on to an update and it would say like, when you want to install this? And I'd always enter like 3 a.m. Sometime where it's just like, I'm guaranteed to be asleep, or I better be. And to my surprise, lately, it has gone through flawlessly every time. You know what it usually go ahead and go through? The next time I'd awaken the phone, and it'd be like, oh, I should update. I'm sorry, I missed it. Like a stoner waking up late after night. Like, oh man, I was supposed to do that update last night, and I just got way wasted, man. I'll do it now that you need your phone. That's how Android used to update. At least in my experience now, it has been way better. It has not failed to install an update overnight in over a year. And I feel that's long enough to go, you know, I think you finally got your act together. So kudos to Google and Samsung both for finally getting it to work. Because that was one of my biggest gripes about Android, is the updates. And now it's way better. Kudos. What doesn't get kudos, however, is Blizzard reminding you you don't own your games. They have rewritten language in their license to remind you that, in fact, you own nothing. All you've bought is a license to use their products. If you are hoping to try and make Dota in Warcraft 3 Reforged, it's not happening. They own it all, period. Any of that. Nothing you make creatively is yours using Blizzard products. This has been the case for a while, but now they are reinforcing it. Isn't that great? I am so glad that they want to remind me that, in fact, yep, this is what you get now. If you want something else, too bad. Nope, not anymore. You don't know anything. And this has been the case. Oh, whoops. Welcome back to Eagle Eyes on Tech. I hit a button wrong, and it didn't end anything. That's my fault. That's my fault. It's been a long day. All right, it's been a long day. All right, cut me a little bit of slack, and instead just enjoy Crimson Rise from Final Fantasy XIV. I meant to just switch the camera, which it did anyway. But that is the case with Blizzard and their new terms with their video games. Meanwhile, though, Xbox is having a bit of a snag moving forward. Okay? Xbox is having publishers worried moving forward. Third-party publishers are second-guessing whether they should continue supporting Xboxes solely because their sales in Europe, in all of Europe, is just completely flatlining. This I find very interesting. I have to wonder why. Okay? Because right now, consumer earnings are low, all right? And the price of everything is now crazy high. Gaming wise, all right, let's pretend I had no computer, no game console, or anything. What is the cheapest way I'm getting into gaming? It's going to be the Switch Lite at $200. The next option after that for actual games that are not in the Nintendo wheelhouse is the Xbox with the Series S at $300. But you can't even get a decent gaming computer for that amount. It's just not happening. For $300, I cannot beat that. You just simply can't. Sony's then shortly after at what is it, $450 for a discless version, $500 for a disced PS5, with a PS5 Pro allegedly in the wings. Like, Xbox currently has the lowest priced option out there. But I have to wonder, is the real reason not because of Europe sales just going down, or is it actually because of the Xbox Series S's radically lowered performance? That really does make me wonder. Which is it? Well, we'll have to see how things move forward for Xbox. Are things just going to go into an area where, in fact, they just go cloud only, don't even bother with hardware anymore? Is it just going to be Sony and Nintendo down the road? I kind of doubt it. That seems far-fetched, and this one article seems like an outlier. But if any of this is true, and there is in fact concerns in the developer conference of supporting the Xbox moving forward, what does it spell for the future of gaming? People are trying to say it's because there's so few exclusives for the Xbox. Folks, there's never been exclusives for the Xbox. Halo was pretty much the only exclusive for all of the Xbox. And quite frankly, the Xbox has done well with all their exclusives also being available on PCs. That has been the case long before PCs have become virtually unaffordable in the new sense. Okay? But all I can do is wait and see how things are going to go. This is all very interesting. However, it's hard to say whether this is going to be the spell the doom of Microsoft or not. All we can go ahead and is look forward, such as to this refresh of the Xbox Series X, which so far the only refresh seems to be a new coat of paint. I'll be perfectly honest, that probably is all this is. This is probably just the Xbox Series X that is just, it's white now. People are immediately jumping to conclusions. Oh, it's white. It must be the Xbox Series X Pro. Oh, it's the one that was leaked. That was a cylinder. Oh, we found it. Oh my God. We now know everything. My God, this is the new thing. Don't bother buying any Series X's. The Pro is on its way now. Oh, but wait. The Pro has the exact same ventilation holes as the original Series X, so that means the performance upgrade is not going to be very much at all, if any at all. Oh my God, this is all confirmed stuff that we're going to go ahead and shut off our brains and just immediately assume that you get the point already. Do you get the point? The leak from Xputer is not about the Series X Pro that was leaked about in those court cases. It's just a white Series X. I'm telling you right now. Stop ruffling up everything. Stop trying to flip tables, going, oh my God, the Xbox is finished because their Pro is going to be exactly the same spec because everything looks the exact same. It might look the exact same because it is the same. Stop sounding stupid. It's probably exactly what it looks like. It's probably a white Xbox. Heck, you know what it might be? It might just be a white Xbox. It might be a white Xbox Series X that's then sent off to other people to be customly designed. For crying out loud, FF14 launched on the Xbox. They're giving away a handful of Xbox Series X's that are designed to look just like the blue crystal aetherite with golden rings around it. Maybe this is them before they're painted. God, the number of assumptions people jump to without turning on their freaking brains is astonishing. Calm down, people. You all sound crazy. We're going to take a break, our last break here. When we get back, I want to talk about Totally Overwatch launching, as well as Twitch changing policies yet again. We will be right back.
This program is brought to you by the Snore Silencing Pillow. Tired of your partner's nocturnal symphony? Introducing the Snore Silencing Pillow. It gently muffles the snoring sounds and emits soothing whale songs instead. You can drift to sleep with the calming ambience of the ocean. Now available at Amazon.com.
Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. All right. In other news, Marvel is gunning straight for Overwatch. First off, by releasing an Overwatch clone that is 6v6 instead of 5v5, just showing Blizzard that, in fact, you're doing it wrong. But also, instead of fictional heroes that Blizzard then revealed later on were just built to specifically check off inclusivity checkboxes, which I can't stress how much that disappoints me, that so many of the heroes were just the way they were just to check off, you know, boxes on a checklist rather than actually being like uniquely well-designed characters. Because a lot of them were. And I was just like, oh, wow, that's why they were made. And then after you knew that, you couldn't help but notice that. And it just made the rest of the heroes just feel cheap. I can't stress how much that annoyed me. It just cheapens the whole thing, you know? Anyway, instead of going ahead and going with original heroes, they're instead using Marvel heroes. It is an Overwatch style Marvel game called Marvel Rivals. There we go. And we already have a first trailer for it, and it is currently in pre-alpha. I'd say it has a good chance of success, but man, right now with most crowds, Marvel has worn out its welcome something fierce. If this game came out before Endgame, I would say that's it. Overwatch is dead. But now you have an unpopular, I wouldn't say genre, but an unpopular franchise that people are sick of going head to head with an unpopular game that people are sick of that is being mismanaged into the ground. And I don't know what's going to happen, because there's a lot now going against both of them. I don't know what's going to come out on top. It's curious, to say the least. Gearbox now has a new owner. Take-Two has acquired Gearbox from Embracer for $460 million, which is an estimated over some huge number. God, how much of how much of a loss is that technically for Embracer? Almost $1 billion? Now, granted, this isn't all cash. The original deal to acquire Gearbox was not all cash, but it was roughly, they're saying here, $1.3 billion in 2021, and that was partially in cash and stock. And Embracer is now selling off Gearbox to Take-Two for $460 million, also in a split of cash and stock. Actually, quickly skimming through here to see if I can find the amount it was for. No, the article I have is not saying. Quite possibly we don't know yet. Already we know that Gearbox is working on multiple new games, including the next Borderlands series, as well as a new IP and a few other sequels to existing IP. Here's what I will say about Borderlands 4. Just please, for the love of God, focus on your world building. Because I look back at Borderlands 3. There's a lot that went wrong with Borderlands 3. One of which was the crazy Diablo-esque style, like mayhem mode, which was kind of cool for like a day. And then after that, it just felt stupid. And then he never did it again. It was supposed to make for unlimited gameplay, and it didn't. But then also just the villains of 3 were just so cringy. I just perished. And there was just so much opportunity exploring the various worlds. And I just felt like we just fell short solely because of these villains, you know? Like there was so much potential and it just felt like we stubbed our toe. So here's hoping that Borderlands 4 is better than 3. And that's closer to what 2 brought us rather than what 3 brought us. In other news, Sonic is working on a Fall Guys inspired game, according to a new leak. The game is allegedly being called Toys Party. Whoops. I just got my ears obliterated by that no one else heard. But in any case, the game very much looks like kind of Fall Guys-esque sort of design in the Sonic world, but it's last one standing wins. If there's anything I've learned in the games industry, most of the time you bet against Sonic. As much as the series has a fan base and a very strange fan base and a lot of potential with that fan base, my God, do the games continue for Sonic to just swing and miss again and again and again and again. You know, for a universe that kind of is already tied in just having absurd structures already, this seems like a game style that could work very, very easily. Like on paper, this has every chance to succeed. Will it succeed though? I don't know. Does it have a prayer? I don't know. All we can do is wait and see. All right, let's talk about Twitch. There is a new Twitch meta going along that we couldn't really talk about or show at all because it is not safe for work. But it was in fact real IRL models and VTubers chroma keying out their cleavage or butt and streaming video gameplay on their cleavage or rear. There is even one even more not safe for work video going around that I don't know if it was on Twitch or not that shows a furry schlong having gameplay being put on that, which Amazon needs to be here with eye bleach. I need to unsee this. I don't know if that was on Twitch or not, or if that was just someone made for jokes and then spread it around. I have no earthly idea. What I do know is that Twitch is changing their policy to enforce the fact that you cannot have your footage focus intently on parts of the body that are considered erotic. You know how it's a primary video game streaming site and vlogging site and is usually considered a safe for work environment? That's how Twitch has been portrayed since the dawn of ever, primarily. It turns out if streamers like Morgpie continue to, and yes, she was part of this as well, continue to try and push the limits, guess what? The rules are going to expand to say, stop it. And a lot of people, when this first came out, were just like, Eagle, why do you care? It's just people going ahead and trying to be lewd and silly. Here's my biggest problem with it, okay? It's the fact that these streamers were going ahead, showing off assets that I don't have, trying to take advantage of what they have, and more importantly, and this is the part that actually really gets me, okay? It's not the fact that I am ugly by comparison or anything of that nature. It is the fact that these people were doing it with the express intent of trying to draw audience away from Twitch to their own pornographic OnlyFans. I'm currently in the middle of setting up the ability to stream on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. Also trying to get Twitter into it as well. Here's the thing. I cannot in Twitch show or promote those other two platforms while I'm live. That is against the rules of simulcasting. So why the heck should, if I'm not allowed to do that, why are they allowed to promote their pornography on a safe to work platform? That's my biggest complaint. And they continue to push this. And yeah, the changes have already gone into effect. You cannot focus on your cleavage. You cannot focus you can't chroma key content directly onto your butt. You cannot do this. This is now part of Twitch policy. Guess what? They got banned. Guess how long they were banned for? Less than an hour. Despite the fact they have gone ahead and tried to push the rules again and again and again and again. And quite frankly, the double standardness of this all is getting really obnoxious. Oh, but I'm the joy killer because I'm going saying, oh, you can't go ahead and promote porn on a safe for work site. Bro, this is what they're doing. What can you do? What can you do? And finally, I present to you the last verb, the last story of the day, the weirdest story of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, the animal. I should reiterate, the animal. A new miniature quadrupedal robot that is able to go ahead and navigate pitfalls and terrain. It's basically a mini Spot the Dog. It's Boston Dynamics Spot the Dog, but small. It's what it is. And is able to successfully navigate pitfalls. Ladies and gentlemen, we have yet another robotic dog that is able to navigate pathways better than people. Now it is done in the age of AI. My friends, I present to you the tool that AI will use to save us from ourselves. See, Boston Dynamics needed to be used from a controller. This one is still in development. This one can be told to use machine learning, which it does actually, and goes ahead and use AI, which it doesn't yet. This is the tool right here. You will soon be oppressed by robotic dogs. It is inevitable. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Thank you so much for listening, and I do encourage you to check out my other works. YouTube.com/Eagle Falcon and Twitch.tv/Eagle Falcon. I can promote those here because this is a podcast. Ha! Take care, and I hope you enjoy your day. Yeah, I know that this week for Last Burbs, this wasn't a very funny one. You know, it's just kind of, you know, it's a robot. You want to know why? You want to know why the stories this time around haven't been that exciting? It's very simple. It's April Fool's. It's April Fool's now. Like when you're listening to this, it's April Fool's. All the funny stuff is happening today. Everyone saved all their silly stuff and wants to put it on April Fool's. So that way, if they go out and say like, oh man, I have made a toaster powered by AI that can projectile vomit out toast at 180 miles an hour, they can go, hi, April Fools, we're not trying to make a toaster that'll kill humanity. They can just say it was a joke as they silently release said toaster. All I'm saying is that, yeah, I know why there's a lack of silly stuff around. They're saving it for today. Good afternoon. This is 1337 AM WTAF Radio. Canadian tech media company Linus Media Group has downsized drastically, selling off all of their assets and real estate and moving into the original home they started at over 10 years ago. It is said that they are currently operating using only their laptops and a hot tub, as well as a Vision Pro for some reason. What the future holds for this tech company, we have no idea at this time. Palworld is going to be releasing a monster dating simulator that will include not safe for work material. The dating sim is going to be releasing later today. Keep an eye out for that and make sure it's something that you may or may not want your kids to be playing. Joe Biden has a huge boost in the polls after becoming a Super Saiyan. His golden hair now weighing in at over 10 pounds and is giving him a demanding lead over the other candidates. Will it be enough to push him over the top and get re-election? It is hard to say at this point whether he will need a nappy or not after achieving Super Saiyan. Check out on the sports. The Brewers have clinched the NCAA bracket at the US Open, and they will be at the Super Bowl. I hope. Were those all the correct terms? I don't know. Our sports guy is out. Anyway, for the weather, the National Storm Prediction Center has issued a tornado outlook of over 10% for southern Illinois and south to southeastern Missouri. Keep your eye out on the local weather if you are in those areas or near those areas. Just because the peak is 10% doesn't mean that being outside that area means you have a 0%. The area is wide. Keep an eye out for severe weather and take shelter if tornado warnings are issued. This is 1337 AM WTF Radio. The next show is up next.
Are you running late? Well, the Procrastinator Accelerator has you covered. This program is brought to you by the Procrastination Accelerator. Just press the button and instantly generates a convincing excuse for any situation. From I accidentally time traveled to my cat needs a pep talk. You'll never miss a deadline again. Now available at Google's.
Do I really have to say it? Do I really have to say it? This 10-4, good buddy. This is Trucker Talk with Cletus Rojak. I am Eagle Falcon sitting in for Cletus Rojak. Really? That entrance, that doesn't make sense. I thought you said you had another fill-in for this. Why'd you drag me in at the last minute? He called in. You know this has now made me the only talk host here, right? For the day. We couldn't have gotten some best ofs to fill in the voids. Yes, I told this to the other producer. I'm still taking it out on you. Of course I'm annoyed. Ugh. I just finished my show, for crying out loud. Jeez. In any case, the most current news here in the trucking world, of course, has to do with the upcoming eclipse. The total eclipse that is going to be taking place in about a week across the eastern to mid-southern U.S. So, climatologists right now are trying to predict where there's going to be cloud cover, where's going to be the best place to view the total eclipse. The thing is that truckers, our boys here, need to figure out one very important thing. How do we not get tangled up in the traffic nightmare that's going to be everyone trying to get to this band stretching all the way from northern Maine to southern Texas and crossing into large chunks in the Midwest? Unfortunately, where I'm at, it's going to be way too far away. It'd be a dedicated day trip though. And then knowing my luck, by the time I get there, it's either going to be A, over, or B, cloudy. That's just going to be my luck. I know my luck. I'm going to miss it. So right now, everyone's trying to figure out how to get their routes done around this. Because let's just be bluntly honest. No one out there driving for a living wants to be stuck in the inevitable bumper-to-bumper traffic that is going to be happening on the 8th. It's just not something anyone's going to want to do. So talk it out with your own driving managers, plan it out, and, you know, maybe try to go ahead and have your rest day be on the 8th. If only it were that simple, right? If only it were that simple. Other news, though, that is affecting the trucking world something fierce. I just realized something. You only gave me 2 stories. Why'd you only give me 2 stories? Should have gotten Steve back in there, Jesus. Should have gotten any other producer. You gave me 2. The rest of the tabs I have here is just stuff I was going to talk about, but I ended up leaving it out in my own podcast. Just in case this happened. Holy smokes. Just... The Baltimore port closure has auto haulers in quite a bind. I imagine it has a whole lot of people in a bind. How is it just Baltimore? Well, you know how things go. Yeah, I said auto haulers. What? I said Baltimore? Oh. Okay, fair enough. Yes, I'm tired. This is my 4th show today. Of course I'm tired. And I've been doing the top of the hour news. Fortunately, that's not hard. 5 if I include... Really, the early bird briefing is more of a top of the hour news that's just single story. You should have put together a best of episode instead of dragging me in here to do a 4th real show. That's what you should have done. Don't pin this on me. You should have done that. Anyway. The Baltimore bridge collapse is affecting a lot of people now. Or it has been for quite some time, of course. But specifically, auto haulers are finding themselves in quite a bind just because the exporters of cars apparently used almost exclusively the Baltimore port. Are there really no other ports for them to go to? There has to be other ports. What do you mean, didn't I go? No, I didn't go to school for logistics. I studied logistics because I was going to be a Midwest trucker. I never went to school. Look, I can operate a semi. And it's been a hot minute since I've been in a semi. No, you're not going to quiz me. Go, just go. Enough of you. I'll produce myself. You don't even take calls. We don't take calls here. So why are you even here? Just bring a cardboard cutout of you and put it behind the control board. I'm doing everything here anyway. Holy smokes. Ugh. Auto imports mostly use the port of Baltimore, which is now putting car haulers in quite a bind. Because, of course, car hauler trucks, as we know, it's kind of hard to outfit a car hauler trailer to go ahead and haul literally anything else. It's not like you can just go ahead and just take off the trailer and hook up a dry van. That's not how it works. It's all specialty fit. So what are they to do now? It's a very good question, isn't it? And quite frankly, right now, it's going to put... Oh God, could we see a return of the pandemic car prices? Specifically on imported cars? Oh God. And that's something you have to think about. Even if you're not, I imagine most people that listen to the show are, in the logistics business, are actually out there on the road, probably going ahead and complaining about that Prius that just cut them off right now in their big 18-wheeler. But for those of you who are not truck drivers, you have to think about this, because anything that goes on in the trucking world, almost everything that goes on in the trucking world, does affect your world as well. If imported cars aren't coming in, that means there's a shortage of imported cars. There's going to be fewer of them, which is going to drive their price even higher. And it's already been driven very high because of the crazy high inflation we have not had a handle on this entire past 4 years. God, I hope we don't see a return to that kind of pricing. Seeing used cars go for as much as new was insane. I don't envy any truck driver right now. I really don't. I never have. As much as I love driving, getting out there on the road with all the problems the current trucking world has, and the amount of disrespect there is for people who have to operate on the road, is insane. Granted, even my 4-wheel, I don't get a whole lot of respect. It's nuts. It really, really is nuts. Which, of course, is why a lot of companies are looking forward to the launch of, I shouldn't say the launch, it's technically out, but looking forward to utilizing the Tesla electric semi. Of course, allegedly getting 500 miles on a single charge, being able to haul the full amount, although we still don't know the weight of the electric semi. How crazy is that? Don't you think you'd want to know? Tell me, Class A holders, how many of you know the exact weight of your semi truck, of your rig? I'm willing to bet the answer is about 90%. With the remaining 10% of you just being, that's around here. It's something you need to know. You need to know that weight. You have to, because that determines how much you can haul. Imagine being told you're about to go lease or buy a new truck, and the manufacturer won't tell you how much it weighs, but then tells you, don't worry. The total vehicle weight can now be 82,000 instead of 80,000. Everything regarding this semi is baffling to me. Okay. There are certain things I do like. The look of it definitely does look more modern. Okay. As a tech guy, I kind of like that. I still am on the fence about being positioned in the middle, that your driver's seat's actually in the middle of the vehicle. I've heard from a few truck drivers, they are open to the idea of it being in the middle. I don't know how I feel about that. I still don't. The thing is the size of a full Class 8 sleeper, but there is no actual sleeper berth in the back. It's all batteries. And then, of course, there is just my lack of trust with Elon Musk. I mean, my God. The number of times Elon has promised something and then failed to deliver is countless. There's been a few situations lately. Like, I'm told that the whole reusable rockets has been going really well. Beyond that, name something Elon has actually fulfilled exactly as promised. I think he's batting 1 out of every 10, which is not good odds at all. And what I think is really telling is, of course, this is Tesla. Tesla is very good at making electric vehicles. That's what they excel at. What about the other truck manufacturers? Okay. How have they approached the electric market? Because here's one thing we've learned from the electric pickup truck market. The electric pickup truck market, when they are hauling, their range per tank drops by about 66%. On gasoline and diesel, you see a drop as well. It is not 66%. Roughly, depending on the load, it is about a third to half. Granted, they are different animals. So, what do the other manufacturers have? Well, let's take a look at Kenworth. This is why I brought up this whole thing. Right now, they're showing off the new T680, the new T880, which I love the fact that T880 now is just a dump truck. They used to market the T880 as an alternative to the T680 as more like, oh, it's a owner-op truck. Now it's a dump truck. We'll make a cement truck out of it too, probably. The W990, which now looks like it was made by International. We do just have a section called Zero Emissions, which appears to be just a T680 they put a blue logo on. So what does the Zero Emissions semi-truck look like from Kenworth? Well, they have a 200-mile range truck on Class 6 and Class 7 cab overs. And that's one trend you're going to see as I go on here. Electric right now is only being marketed towards day cabs or medium duty applications, your class 5s, your class 6s. Kenworth does have a class 7 option, but it's going to be for a straight truck only. Because, of course, obviously a semi-truck is massive. But let's be honest here for a minute. For you guys out there on the road, how much of your truck length is just the trailer? Yeah, like all of it. Stupid question, I know. But now you know where I'm gonna go with this, right? Some idiot out there is gonna go ahead and say, well, of course you can't fit many batteries on the tractor. It's so small. That's why I have to put batteries on the trailer too. Where do the trailers sit? Truckers, is the trailer with you at all times? Do you use the exact same trailer at all times? You either just said no, or you said, well, yes, but I'm a weird situation. And I got one buddy who can attest that a lot of these trailers just sit out and suffer from sun rot the whole day. The box is fine, but unfortunately the tires are another story. Imagine if the entire trailer also had a massive bank of lithium batteries baking in the sun. Yikes. But then on top of that, an entire trailer with a belly of lithium on it, what's that going to do? It's going to add more weight. Yeah. How many of you operate relatively close to your 80K cap? I'm actually not sure what the percentage is that runs closer to 80K cap, but I imagine it's pretty high. Because the more you're hauling, the more money you're making. It's just normal. So the straight truck application makes sense, because I can already tell you in the medium duty field, we are almost never in medium duty running at maximum capacity. So our truck weighing more to haul a bunch of lithium where we could have had gasoline or diesel, most likely diesel, it makes sense. The load we were hauling was only 2 tons anyway, out of the 10 tons we could carry. You know, give or take. So this makes sense. 200-mile range, man, I don't feel comfortable with that, but you know, if you got the solution at your place of work to charge it, why not? Why not? Then Kenworth also has a hydrogen fuel cell option as well. I'm actually curious, what do we got here for the T6, what they're calling the T680E? What is the range? Oh yeah, there we go. 150 miles. 150 miles day cab. Oh yeah, that is going from warehouse to warehouse and not many other places. 150 miles, that means you are hauling your load to a warehouse 70 miles away and then have to get back to that warehouse and you have 10 miles to spare. They're also saying 150 miles depending on the application. This is a non-starter. I'll tell you what the T680 is right here. The T680 100% exists for one reason and one reason only. It is there to say, don't worry, people. We here at Kenworth have an electric option. That's it. So clearly, Kenworth doesn't care. And here's a spoiler for you. Since that's what Kenworth has, I'm willing to guess if we go to Peterbilt, it is going to be exactly the same, because Peterbilt and Kenworth, if you somehow don't know, are both PACCAR, which means that they are going to be the exact freaking same. Because the only thing that's going to change is the faceplate and a little bit of the interior. Wow, what are the odds? There's a 579 EV. I'm willing to bet if I go ahead and take a look at that, it's gonna be 150. It's gonna be 150 miles. Hey, look, there's a Peterbilt 220 EV. I'm willing to bet that's 200 miles. They're not even saying. They're just saying minimum charge time 2.1 hours. Oh, here we go. Estimated daily range 100, 150, or 200 miles. For the 579 EV, 150 miles per charge. Who's surprised? At least they're willing to tell you that their rear axle suspension is 40,000 pounds for their specs. Whee! They actually do offer a third option though, this 520 EV, which is it looks like a dump truck model or a garbage truck model, which has a 80 to 120 mile charge. I know I mostly studied for OTR and do logistics for regional routing. So I have no idea what the length of like a garbage truck run is. Is a garbage truck run only 80 miles? Round trip? I'm actually curious now. I've never been curious. Now I am. Well, that's PACCAR. What about international? Well, about that. International right now is kind of going through a bit of a rebranding in the way they're operating, okay? They're kind of leaning away from their old marketing, and they've been doing this for a while and trying to just go ahead and just use like little letters. They used to have like a Pro Star, a Dura Star, and all these sort of things. But I imagine the Duramax engine, or not the Duramax, Max Force, that's what it was. The Max Force engine and its fiascos and problems with the DPF, where it was a massive blow to international. They're trying to move on from that as much as possible. The MV series now replaces their Durastar. That's our medium duty platform. We have a CV. The CV platform I find fascinating, because I'm willing to bet a lot of you out there that aren't in the commercial truck world kind of look at this CV and go, that looks kind of familiar. I've seen that like headlight design before. The face of it kind of looks familiar. The body shape of this truck, despite the fact there's no back end of it, looks very familiar. This was made in partnership with Chevy. Yeah, dead serious. This is a Chevy truck. It even has a Chevy engine in it. It's a Duramax engine in it. Although these here are saying they're international INTLs. Did they change it? The last time I looked, these were using Duramaxes. Am I about to learn something here? All right, here we go. Of course, someone on Google asked. Yeah, it is a 6.6 liter Duramax Turbo V8. Okay, the International 6.6 is in fact a Duramax. That is... All right, I'm not crazy. I did remember that correctly. Yeah, this is a Chevy. If you're buying this International CV, it is a Chevy truck. Now you know. You know, the rest of the fleet is pretty normal looking. Now, let's go to the EV side of things. Right now, International is in a territory of still figuring it out. They do have an EMV, an electric MV version. That's their Class 6 straight truck. That is currently in development as being an EV. But so far it looks like it's not ready yet. I remember seeing promotional material for an electric LT, but they weren't ready to talk like at all about that thing. Typical range right now, 135 miles. Oof. Oof. Just oof. Although one thing they were very proud about is the fact they're using lithium iron phosphate batteries instead of lithium polymer batteries. So if they catch fire, they are much easier to put out, unlike other ones. All right, what about Freightliner? Because if there's one thing you know about Freightliner and Daimler, their owner, oh man, do they want to go ahead and just capture that green energy attention? Oh man. Well, they do have some. In fact, theirs they put front and center. They put their EM2, their medium duty truck, front and center. That's their Class 6, Class 7 straight truck between 194 and 291. Oh, I'm sorry. 180 to 250 mile range, 80% in 60 minutes. They also have an E-Cascadia, which actually is a Class 8 semi. That's going to get 155, 220, or 230 mile range. Typical range, I should point out, on both of these. And 80% in 90 minutes charge. That's what you're looking at there. So, you know, one of the better ones. But let's be honest, you're most likely still going to go ahead and use... You're going to want to use diesel most likely. The EM2, honestly, if it actually got the full 250, that's pretty comfy. If it's coming back every day to charge, that's not bad at all. The Cascadia is a non-starter. Oh my God. Can you imagine OTR if you had to stop every 200 miles? Whew. It'd be a nightmare. I would not want to live that. That just sounds. Ugh. Ugh. They are really touting the alternative fuels. They got natural gas over here. Did they finally update the look of the M2? Oh my God, I think they finally updated the look. Oh my God, they actually finally updated the interior of the M2. It finally looks like a modern vehicle. Holy smokes. No, you don't understand. The M2 has not changed its look exteriorly or internally since like 1995. I am dead serious. The fact they finally updated is insane. You don't have a very good look. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we have a little infotainment system, 6-gauge display. An infotainment center that is comically small for the space it's taking up. I love the fact we still have a plate in the middle there for if you decide to order one with a manual in this day and age, you still have the option. It's just right there. There's still a manual option. Interesting. Now, what about Volvo? Well, Volvo also recently redid their looks. We have an all-new OTR truck, the VNL, that has changed its look once again. The only electric option is this boy right here, the VNR, because Volvo, for whatever reason, doesn't offer a straight truck. At least I'm pretty sure they still don't offer a straight truck. But we have one. We have one straight truck, and I'm willing to bet it becomes a dump truck. Also, earlier when we were talking about call holders, this is why call holders can't be easily converted. Most of them come like this by default. There ain't no standard fifth wheel to just go ahead and just change things up. The only option we have is the VNR, which is more meant for regional. Okay, and that's all we have. And quite frankly, you know what I'm not seeing? I'm not seeing any specs. None. Zip. Zero. Nada. It is just all execu speech. It's just all it is. It's just execu speech to go ahead and make you feel that, yep, we got this. No range, no nothing. That being said, I'm taking a look at the VNL real quick, which is their flagship. That's the one they send out. That's the OTR truck, because they only like remodeled this like a few years ago. Now they're remodeled it again. Oh wow, they actually altered the look of their air supply. It's now pull levers, push button start. Huh, they redesigned that cab a lot. I'll have to take a look at that on my own time. I'm actually kind of curious. It's always kind of fascinating to see technology that's adopted in the consumer space, and then how much of it is then offered in the trucking space, you know? That's always fascinating to me. Because the trucking space, it's a different use case, obviously. But also, let's be honest, truckers are stubborn. It's true. We like what we like. I should say they like what they like. I haven't been in a truck in a long time. And what matters the most is uptime. Whatever's in there, it better work, and it better work reliably. Because downtime is just money lost. If you're not making money, you're losing money, period. Less time in the shop, more time on the road. It's a lot of things. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So it was always interesting to see what is adopted, what is accepted, and what is shunned. And how quickly things go, oh, look how technologically advanced it is. And then see how quickly it takes them to roll back on it. Because one thing I kind of noticed, I want to go back here to this Volvo here. Is the gauge cluster digital? It is. It is all one screen. The infotainment's actually sunk in too. That's kind of weird. Also, there are 16 blank switches. What the heck? Why there's 16 blank switches? Okay, actually, that infotainment display might not be as sunken as I thought. From this different angle, it just looks like it looks way sunken on one side compared to the other. And they still have a standard analog radio here, or what looks like a fairly analog radio. That's funny. Oh, there's most of our switches right there. And in this one, there's just a cutout. Oh, gee. All right. This is not entertaining radio. Let's instead get to the last story I pulled out. Because I actually think about show prep, unlike some people who are no longer here. I talked earlier about manual transmissions. Around here in my local area, there's a ton of little schools, but for the most part, it is the technical colleges that teach you and then get you in to earn a CDL. If it's not a school sponsored by a company like, say, Rail, for instance. Yes, it's pronounced Rail. How ROEHL pronounces Rail, I don't know. It just does. But MATC is another one that it's a technical college. It's where a lot of kids go ahead and learn how to drive a truck, hopefully correctly. But one of the things they always done is they always teach via manual. And one thing that is finally starting to happen is truck manual transmissions are getting about as reliable as automotive automatic transmissions. This wasn't the case. Okay, for the longest time, an automatic transmission on a semi-truck was pretty much a sign that they didn't care about you. They just don't. They don't care about you at all. In fact, it was a better sign that, in fact, they just got whatever was available. Automatics are terrible. Now that is not the case. It is now, in fact, the case to the point where MATC, who has been teaching on, I swear it has been the same like 2003 Freightliner Cascadia since 2003, that they've just been working that truck into the ground, but only now are they finally willing to teach on an automatic as well, because the overwhelming majority of new trucks are pretty much going to be automatic. Manuals are going to be going the way of the dinosaur, and I'm willing to bet you ask a lot of OTR truckers out there, I would say it's about a 50-50 split, whether it's okay that automatics are going away or if it's manual for life. I would say it's about a dead even split, despite the fact that automatics have gotten so much better and still give people a lot of control. I'm actually curious what the failure rate is of automatics. But in any case, that is going to do it for today. He didn't give me what the heck the outro is supposed to be for this show. He gave me that stupid 10-4 line, and it's just like, that's dumb. Nobody says that. In any case, stay safe out there on the roads, truckers. And I hope you have a great day. This was Eagle Falcon sitting in for Cletus Rojak. And hopefully he'll be back tomorrow, because I don't want to do this again. I don't know if I can go ahead and prep an entire trucking show. I got experience, probably more than most people here, but man, it's hard. I want to rest. How long is this outro? Oh, there it is.
This program is brought to you by the Self-Cleaning Socks. Our self-cleaning socks magically shed the dirt and sweat and odors away. Plus, with built-in GPS, you'll never lose a sock again. Warning, may cause occasional teleports to Bermuda. Now available in Bermuda.
Good afternoon. This is 1337 AM WTAF Radio. Canadian tech media company Linus Media Group has downsized drastically, selling off all of their assets and real estate and moving into the original home they started at over 10 years ago. It is said that they are currently operating using only their laptops and a hot tub, as well as a Vision Pro for some reason. What the future holds for this tech company, we have no idea at this time. Palworld is going to be releasing a monster dating simulator that will include not safe for work material. The dating sim is going to be releasing later today. Keep an eye out for that and make sure it's something that you may or may not want your kids to be playing. Joe Biden has a huge boost in the polls after becoming a Super Saiyan. His golden hair now weighing in at over 10 pounds and is giving him a demanding lead over the other candidates. Will it be enough to push him over the top and get re-election? It is hard to say at this point whether he will need a nappy or not after achieving Super Saiyan. Check out on the sports. The Brewers have clinched the NCAA bracket at the US Open, and they will be at the Super Bowl. I hope. Were those all the correct terms? I don't know. Our sports guy is out. Anyway, for the weather, the National Storm Prediction Center has issued a tornado outlook of over 10% for southern Illinois and south to southeastern Missouri. Keep your eye out on the local weather if you are in those areas or near those areas. Just because the peak is 10% doesn't mean that being outside that area means you have a 0%. The area is wide. Keep an eye out for severe weather and take shelter if tornado warnings are issued. This is 1337 AM WTF Radio. The next show is up next.